Boys, I'm very excited to show you guys this. This is gonna be a video showing all of you skinny guys out there everything that you need to know. This video is damn near 3 hours long. And no, it's not just gonna be some basic, hey, train this way, train that way. No, we're gonna get down to the habits, to the identity, from everything from A to Z to becoming the type of person that you need to become in order to achieve the physique that you've always wanted to achieve. And after watching this video, I guarantee you, if you apply it, you're gonna build a physique that you're fucking proud of, right? So buckle up, get a notebook ready, watch this video, and I'll see you guys. Peace.
I'm Isaiah Bradford. I'm an online fitness coach. I went from being 90 pounds, depressed, suicidal, hated myself, had no confidence, X, Y, and Z, boo hoo, who cares? And I've been able to transform myself not only physically, but also in every way imaginable. So I went from being this 90-pound, depressed, weak version of me that I hated to being a version of me that I'm actually proud to see when I look in the mirror. And now I coach people to do the exact same thing. Before you say, oh, he's lying, he's saying this, he's saying that, here's one of my clients, my client Jesse. You guys have seen him if you have watched one of my videos in the past, or if you're following me on Instagram. My guy Jesse was able to pack on 20 pounds in less than 90 days. And also another one of my clients, Jack, who was able to pack on over 20 pounds in less than 90 days also. And you can check out the rest of my testimonials on my Instagram page, which is right here. It's also linked in the description. But enough about me. Let's get into the reason why you're actually on this video, because I know nobody cares. You just want to see how this is going to help you. So let's just dive into it. So section 1 is going to be about mindset, identity, and the inner war, which is going to be the first couple of pages that I have on this kind of Google Doc slideshow, educational formatted kind of whatever you want to call it. Anyway, so the body you want isn't built in the gym, is built in your mind first. And you don't hate your body. That's the biggest thing that I want you guys to understand. You hate what it reminds you of. That's where we all are going to begin in this journey, and that's where you may be right now. And before you build the body, you have to face the war that's going on in your head, because right now you don't have a muscle building problem. You have a standard problem. You have an identity problem. Deep down, you're still operating like the same version of you who gets overlooked, the same version of you who hides behind baggy clothes, and the same version of you who scrolls on social media looking for shortcuts while staying exactly the same. And you saying I'm just a skinny guy is a death sentence. So let me zoom in on this a little bit more so I don't kind of spoil everything that I'm going to be talking about in this video before I even go over it. So like I said, saying that I'm just a skinny guy is an absolute death sentence. And here's why. Every time that you say that, you reinforce it. You might label it or think of it as a joke, but a little bit of self-awareness, whatever it may be. But I promise you this, your brain doesn't know the difference between sarcasm and belief. If you keep identifying as a skinny guy, you'll continue to act like one forever. You'll undereat, you'll undertrain, you'll overthink everything, you'll self-sabotage when progress starts showing, and you'll stay exactly where you are now. And some of you guys might be in this exact same position now, and you might be watching this thinking, oh man, this is my exact situation. How does this guy know this? Once again, this is because I lived it, and this is what I do. So the identity conflict that you're facing right now is the root of your self-hate, because you're trying to build a new body while still mentally committing to your old self. And this creates something called identity friction, because the version of you're becoming lifts heavier, eats more, sleeps more, leads himself, has presence. But the version of you that you keep reverting back to, or that you keep returning to by default, overthinks, skips meals, skips workouts, seeks comfort, lives on his phone, shrinks in every room, and you feel stuck because these two versions are colliding in your head every single day, and this is the thing that's holding you back. And this is the mindset audit that you need to make right here, right now. And right now, I want you to ask yourself, what do I say to myself every single time I see the mirror, or I see myself in the mirror? I want you to pause this video, go to a mirror, look at yourself, and genuinely ask, what am I saying to myself every time I look? Okay, I'll give you some time. All right, welcome back. Now that you know the answer to that, and ask yourself, what do I feel when I see another guy built the way that I wish I was? Whether this is on Instagram, in person, at the beach, on the pool, whatever it may be. You need to be honest with yourself, because lying to yourself isn't going to get us anywhere. And the moment that you're able to be completely honest with yourself and tell yourself how you truly feel, and you see someone built the way that you wish you were built, is when we can start to see a little bit more change. And how often do you pretend that you're okay with your body, to just avoid the shame of realizing that you're not, or admitting that you're not? Because honestly, to be honest, oh, be honest, because you can't change what you refuse to confront. Like I said, a lot of you guys, especially now, like we see this a lot in like morbidly obese or just fat people, right? Like this is something that's being pushed, and obviously you're going to feel the same way, or maybe revert to the same tactics as being pushed now to make yourself feel a little bit better. You might say, "Oh, I'm okay with being skinny. I'll just wear baggy clothes. I like wearing baggy clothes anyway. Oh, I just like wearing hoodies. If it's 90 degrees outside and someone asks you, "Oh, why are you wearing a hoodie?" You're going to be like, "Oh, I just like this hoodie. This is what I like to wear." But deep down, we and you both know you wish you were more secure in yourself. You wish you were a better version of yourself. And you wish that you were built the way that you want to be, but you're not. So you cope with it by lying to yourself. We need to stop doing that now because, like I just said, you can't change what you refuse to confront or what you refuse to realize is the truth. Right? So let's continue. Pain is your ally, not your enemy. So, like I said, you're not just frustrated because you're skinny, you're frustrated because of what being skinny has cost you. The confidence you've never had in your chest, shoulders, and arms. A lot of you guys are covering up your body. Like I said, this is something that I used to do when I was 90 pounds. I would cover up myself no matter where I went. And you're also missing out on, or this is costing you the respect that you get from other men, because whether you want to come to terms with it or not, physical stature, the way that you're built or the way that you present yourself is always going to play a role in the respect that you get from other people, but especially from other men. If you're a skinny guy, you know this especially. Some of you guys may walk into a room and people don't take you seriously. Your boss may take you as a joke, or even the girl that you with may not respect you as much as she could if you were to take care of yourself the way that you realize. All right. And it's also costing you the way that you doubt yourself in conversations, relationships, and social settings. Like I said, if you're insecure in yourself, if you're not proud of who you are, if you're really ashamed of the skin that you're walking in, you could never truly carry yourself the way that you want to in conversations, relationships, or just around people in general. Because if you're having a conversation with someone and that voice in the back of your mind is telling you, "Oh, I wonder if they can see this, or are they thinking about how skinny I am, or are they making fun of me over there? Are these people thinking this, or these people thinking that?" And all these thoughts are having to collide in your mind is going to hold you back in conversations by default. And then obviously in relationships, especially if you're in a relationship with a beautiful woman that you're truly attracted to and you love, 9 times out of 10, I even say 10 times out of 10, your woman is going to be more attracted to you if you actually take care of yourself and if you're more confident. And realistically, as cliche as it may sound, or how, bad this may seem, if you're built better, your woman's going to be more attracted to you. And if you're not, and if you're insecure in yourself, you're going to be insecure in your relationship because you're going to be thinking, "Oh, well, what if she's looking at this guy, or what if she wants me to be built this way and she's just lying to me?" And all these thoughts that come into your mind, whether you want to realize that they're in there or not, or come to terms with the fact that they're in your head or not, they're going to be there unconsciously or consciously. And then obviously in social settings is going to hold you back because, like I said, in the conversations, you're always going to have these thoughts to where, people are judging you, looking at you, making fun of you. And if you're not confident in your own skin, you can't really be confident in anything else. Right. And the moments that you didn't take action because of how small you felt, this could be as small as, taking off your shirt at the beach, going someplace because you're scared of what people are going to say. If someone's, "Oh, let's go out swimming. Let's go," like I said, "to the beach," or "let's go to this place or that place." If you're insecure in yourself, it's going to hold you back from doing these things or taking actions or taking the steps that you need to do anything almost, right? If you're not confident enough in yourself and you can't approach a certain type of person, then you never do that. If you're not confident in yourself to approach a woman, if you're not in a relationship, then you're not going to do that because you're always going to be insecure in yourself and always going to have these thoughts in your mind that's going to be holding you back. But before you guys just think that this is going to be a video of me just like putting you down or, just being negative, I want you guys to realize that all of this pain that you're feeling right now, this is going to be the fuel to your transformation, right? Because most guys run from that pain. They cope, they numb, they distract themselves. They tell themselves it's not that deep, but you and I both know it is. That pain is your permission to change. Because if you're in so much pain, if you're able to come to the terms of, or come to the fact that you're in a painful situation, or you're not happy with the man that you are, or you're not satisfied with the man that you see looking back at you in the mirror, use that pain to your advantage. Don't run from it. Don't cope with it. Don't numb it. Don't distract yourself. Don't act like you don't care, because in reality, every single man cares about this in some way, shape, or form, whether they try to gaslight themselves into thinking it or not. Right? So use this pain, use these feelings that you have, these insecurities that you have to your advantage, because like I said, this pain is going to give you the permission that you need to make the change happen, right? And rebuilding from the ground up in the internal commandments that you're going to need to make this happen, right? You don't rise to your vision, you fall to the level of your systems. This is simple, and this is also going to relate to the saying of you don't fall to your goals, you fall to your standards. So let's get into it. These are your new rules, and I need you to install them like softwares into your mind, right? And here are the internal growth commandments. 1, I don't miss a meal no matter what. This is going to be hard. I know a lot of you guys are used to living a certain kind of way, and this is going to feel uncomfortable. This is going to feel different. But the moments that you drill these things into your head is going to be the moment to where you make the most progress possible. So 1, like I said, I don't miss meals no matter what. I train with focus, not just motion. I beat last week's numbers, or I reflect on why I didn't. I don't argue with the plan, I execute it. I don't seek motivation, I run on discipline. I review my life weekly, not just my body, and I earn self-respect and follow through. And lastly, I'm becoming the man I said I would be day by day. And say these things out loud, right? Because wherever you are in your spiritual standpoint, obviously I'm a Christian, man. I'm a follower of Christ. And in the Bible, it says that the tongue, if you speak life, it's powerful. And it's the same thing vice versa. So if you are to say these things to yourself and act on them and repeat them to yourself over and over and engrave them into your mind, it's going to be much easier for you to follow through on them, regardless of what you believe in or what you think, right? So say these things out loud and mean them and prove them with your actions, right? Write them down, live by them. Like I said, prove them with your actions, whatever it is, whether you have a whiteboard, whether you have a notebook, whether you want to put it on your phone, whatever it may be. If you're actually committed to this transformation, you need to review these and you need to repeat them to yourself, or constantly remind yourself of this pretty much all the time, right? And this is why most guys stay the same, even with quote unquote motivation. I want you guys to understand, motivation is just a high. It's the dopamine that you get from thinking about change. But when you wake up tired, when the scale hasn't moved in 10 days, when your friends are asking you why you're still eating the same thing again, motivation isn't going to be there. And that's where most guys give up, because they feel, or they think the feeling of wanting to change should always be there. But that's not how growth works. Growth is quiet, repetitive, boring, and relentless. And it's not exciting anymore. That's when it's working, right? So I want you guys to understand, a lot of you who have watched me before, or if you interact with my content on Instagram, or if you texted me before, I get a lot of questions from people asking me, what is my motivation? How am I motivated? How do I stay consistent? Or how do I keep the fire of motivation burning? And the reality of it is, you're going to be motivated for a week. You're going to be motivated for 2 weeks. You're going to be motivated for a couple of days out of months. Motivation isn't going to be there, right? You're going to be motivated time and here and there every once in a while, but in reality, you're almost never going to have motivation at all. I'm almost never motivated. I'm the complete opposite. A lot of the time, I don't want to do any of the things that I'm doing, but I do them anyway because I know it's what I need to do. So you need to drill this in your mind. You need to understand that. And the reason why you need to understand this is because some of you guys feel like there's something wrong when you don't feel this burning motivation, or you're not amped up, or you feel like you're doing something wrong or something's off if you're not at 100%. The reality of it is, you're going to feel 20% most of the days. You're going to feel 50% most of the days, 40%, 10% even. You're going to feel closer to 0% most of the time than you'll feel at 100%. And that's just the reality of it. So the moment that you kind of throw out motivation, you just toss it out the window and realize that it's literally just a feeling, a little bit of a high that you get from thinking about things, or something that comes in waves every once in a while. You stop depending on it. It's going to be the moment to where you're going to allow yourself to, 1, be more disciplined, and 2, be more resilient when it comes to this, because you're not depending on a fleeting feeling that's going to come every blue moon. right? So understand that motivation is fleeting and it's not going to be the thing, or it should not be the thing that you're counting on. And if you are counting on it, it explains why you've been stuck for so long, right? And you need to build the identity before the result. If you want to be jacked, respected, disciplined, or muscular, whatever you want to call it, you don't wait until muscle comes to act like that man. You act like him first. And this is one of the biggest things that you guys need to understand. And one of the biggest changes that happened in my transformation is I started acting like the man that I wanted to be before I was even close to that. You know, when I was 90 pounds, when I got up to 110 pounds, I was walking around not in an egotistical way, but in my own mind, like I was already the man that I wanted to be. And that pushed me forward even more than I was already going. Right. So what does that look like? That looks like you are training like him. You eat like him. You show up like him. You protect your energy like him. You walk into the room like him. And even if you don't believe it fully yet, that action that you're taking is going to be enough evidence to give you that belief. So this is why it's so important to not only take one little piece of the puzzle, but to have every single part of the equation in place. Because if you only say these things and you don't act on them, it doesn't mean anything. Or if you only try to believe these things but you have no evidence, it's not going to believe. It's not going to mean anything, right? But the moment that you put in the action and you see the evidence, you see the evidence, that's when belief is going to be born, true belief, right? And the only way that you become someone new is acting like him before you fully believe you are him. And this is huge. I need you guys to take notes to this, especially if you're understanding or if you're deeply resonating with this video, because this is one of the biggest missing pieces that you could have in your life or in your journey, whatever it may be, right? And if you don't fix the man in the mirror, the training, nutrition, supplements, and systems, this is not going to mean anything, because this is where the real transformation begins. It's not with weights, it's not with food, but it's with ownership, right? And before we go into section 2, I need you guys to take this seriously, because this is one of the biggest things that you need, because a lot of us focus on the inputs and the outcome, but we significantly neglect the identity. But in reality, once you embrace the identity of a person, of the man that you want to be, that's when all of the other areas of this little circle that we're in is going to be amplified. Because if you start identifying as a man, you're going to start acting as a man, and you're going to start getting the results as a man that you haven't even become yet, but you're going to be surely on your way to become. But once you're in your mind already that version of you, you're going to start moving like that every single day, and it's almost going to become second nature. And you guys are going to see that a little bit later on in this video. But enough rambling, let's move on to section 2. So here's a bulking system that never fails, and this is how you eat like a man on a mission, not like a boy playing catch up, right? So here's what you need to understand. If you're not gaining weight, it's not your metabolism. It's the fact that you have no structure, because the real reason why you're not gaining is this. So let's kill this, line up front. Like, I can't gain weight no matter how much I eat. We hear this all the time. I used to make this excuse. You could be making this excuse right now. And it's a lie. You can't not gain weight no matter how much you eat. You're just simply not eating enough, right? So like I said, you think you're eating a lot. You remember the 1 or 2 days you ate a huge meal and felt bloated, but you forget the 5 days that you skipped breakfast, the days that you missed dinner because you were busy, and the random weekend that you ate 1,600 calories, but you told yourself you felt full. Muscle isn't built on memory. It's just built on math, and numbers don't lie. So you could go 2 days eating 5,000 calories. Okay, whoop-de-doo, good job. But don't use that as an excuse for you not being able to gain weight no matter what, when you only ate 1,000 calories a couple of days after that, or for weeks on end after that, right? You can have these little episodes to where you're locked in or where you're eating a lot of food, but until you dial in with the consistency of that, stop blaming your metabolism, because it's not your metabolism fault. It's your fault, okay? So here's your caloric surplus blueprint. Step 1, multiply your body weight by 16 to 18 to get your daily intake. Use 16 if you're not really active. Use 18 if you train hard and move daily. Or easier way to do this is to just get an estimate from MyFitnessPal. So you might be asking me, Isaiah, I'm a complete beginner. Or if you're not a complete beginner, you're going to hear me talk about this for a couple of seconds. What is a calorie, or what is a caloric surplus, or what is caloric maintenance? Basic thing. The only way that you can put it, or the most basic way that you can put it, is the amount of calories that you need to maintain or gain weight. Caloric surplus means the amount of calories that you need to gain weight. As simple as that. It's not any more complicated than that. So here's an example. If you're 140 pounds, you can multiply that by 18 and you can get a ballpark of 2,500 calories. So what do you do with that number? Or if you get it on MyFitnessPal and you get the same thing, what do you do with that number? You hit that number daily, no matter what. You can track this using MyFitnessPal chronometer. There's tons of calorie tracking apps out there. I'm sure you can figure it out, right? So you hit that number daily, no matter what. And you weigh yourself each morning, or you can weigh yourself once a week. Every Sunday is what I like to do. And same time, fast it in your underwear after you use the bathroom. Might be a little bit weird, like, Isaiah, why are you telling me to get in my underwear? Bro, I'm just trying to tell you how to accurately track your weight. Don't take it the wrong way. Yes, you got to do it after you use the bathroom. Sorry, bro. You got to get accurate weight. So you got to do what you got to do. Weigh yourself in your undies, or if you have a scale at home, you could weigh yourself with nothing on if you want a really, really accurate number, right? And if your weight doesn't go up after 7 days, increase the calories by 200 and repeat this cycle until the scale moves, because the data is going to be the truth no matter how you feel. So if you feel like, oh, I've been locked in, I've been eating so much, but the scale hasn't moved in 3 months, then you're not. Who cares how you feel? You know, the truth or facts don't care about how you feel. Okay. Numbers don't lie. And if you're consistently gaining, good job, keep it up. And if you ever plateau, just rinse and repeat this cycle. You could take a screenshot of this if you want to, but it's really simple. You don't need to overcomplicate it. A lot of people try to overcomplicate it to sell you their crazy solution, but this is all it is. This is the most basic way I can put it. And this is why you fail, is because you're stuck in this little guessing trap, or that's what I like to call it, at least. You try to eat more, but you don't track it. And you want to grow, but you don't systemize it. You want to start strong, but you fall off because your meals change every day. And I'm going to tell you exactly how to fix it. So here's meal planning for execution, not for excitement. And sorry for you guys who think this is going to be, you know, a roller coaster, rainbows and sunshine, whoop-de-doo kind of journey. It's not. It's really not. Because your body isn't built on variety. It's built on consistency. So we're going to use the 3 anchor meals and the 2 add-on structures. And this is exactly what this could look like. Like I said, this is just going to be an example. So don't just take this and, you know, think that this is like the holy grail gold mine. This is exactly what I need to eat. This is literally just for the sake of the example. So you can obviously do something different. But for you guys who are completely lost, use this as a gauge, right? So here's a repeatable daily meal plan. Meal 1, breakfast. You could have 4 whole eggs, 2 slices of sourdough, 2 servings of oats with banana and peanut butter, and 1 cup of whole milk. This is around 750 to 900 calories, depending on, you know, how much you add on, you know, not oats, oils, butters, whatever it may be. Like I said, this is just for the sake of example. Meal 2. We're already at like 750 to 900, so keep that in mind. Meal 2, you can have 6 to 8 ounces of chicken thighs or beef. You can have 2 cups of jasmine rice, avocado, or olive oil, and this is around 1,000 calories. Then meal 3, dinner, pasta with ground turkey, veggies, cheese, olive oil, nuts, 900 calories. And then you can add in a snack, something really simple. Like I said, this is just for example, like a PB&J plus banana. Obviously use like organic if you can. That would be ideal. You don't want to be walking around with crazy brain fog. Is my camera lagging? No, we're good. Okay. And then this is around 500 calories. And then snack 2 could be a pre-bed shake. This could be 1 scoop of whey. And like I said, this is just for the sake of example. Avoid using whey as a staple. Avoid using it as a crutch. Just use it when you need to. I don't want you guys, you know, taking freaking whey protein shakes every single day and then texting me saying your stomach's messed up because you're, you know, drinking whey 5 times a day. Don't do that. Just use it as a add-on when needed, but you absolutely do not need it as a staple in your diet. Anyway, scoop of whey, 1 tablespoon of peanut butter, 1 cup of oats, 1 cup of milk. Really simple, 700 calories. But you guys can add this up. This is a pretty easy way to get your calories in. And the biggest thing that I want you guys to understand is your meals should feel predictable, boring, and automatic. So it should be as simple as brushing your teeth. If you're constantly changing your meals, you're constantly giving yourself decision fatigue. And decision fatigue is going to equal inconsistency, missing surplus, and then not growing. So what is decision fatigue? Here's an example. If you don't have this kind of set up in your mind to where you have these staple meals, you're going to always wake up asking yourself, what can I eat? Okay, how can I get my calories in? How should I cook this? this, and that. It's going to be all these different things that you're going to have to come up with in your mind. You're going to have to figure out the meals that you want on the spot. And then you're going to get to a point to where you're like, man, I don't even know what I need to eat. I don't even know if this is like macro friendly. I don't know if this is going to help me hit my calories. And you're always going to be making these constant decisions every single day. And this is going to, like I said, lead to inconsistency and thus leading to you falling off and then not growing in the way that you need to. So let's move on. Build your surplus rituals. So every serious lifter eats with rituals, not just cravings. So before every meal, you sit down, don't stand up or scroll. You can take a deep breath if you want to, and you can literally say to yourself, this meal is building my future physique, and eat at a constant pace. Don't try to rush it or like scarf yourself down until you throw up, and track it before you eat it. And this is huge because when you track it before you eat it, you kind of trick yourself into almost forcing yourself to get the meal in, even if you don't want to, because you've already gone through all the effort of tracking, weighing your food out, putting it into Chronometer, MyFitnessPal. You see the number there, you see the macros, and you're like, okay, I'm getting closer. And you're going to be a lot less likely to tap out on the meal once you track it beforehand, rather than if you're like, okay, I'm going to eat as much as I can, then track the remainder after. And it's just going to make it easier for you to accurately track, because once you mix all the ingredients up, it's going to be hard to weigh it individually, and then it's just going to be a whole problem. So just track before you eat it. It's going to help you 100%. And this is how you're going to eat when you're not hungry. Because like I said, you're not eating for comfort, you're eating for growth. So here's how you're going to win this appetite battle. Even when you're not hungry. And, that's the point, because us skinny guys, you're naturally just not going to have the biggest hunger cues almost ever, especially if you're used to eating like one meal a day. So just front load your day. 40 to 50% of your calories by lunch, ideally, because you don't want to be stuffing yourself at nighttime and then not even hitting your calories. And if it comes down to it, you can use liquids. It could be milk, shakes, smoothies, etc. You can stuff a ton of calories into these and get them down almost like nothing. And keep your fats pretty high. You could incorporate oils, nuts, nut butters, and then all of these are pretty much essential to densing up the calories. And you can even put these into your shakes to kind of stack it up even more. Like one of my clients right now, he loves these shakes. He makes his own. They're around like 1,500 calories, and it's made it significantly easier for him to hit his caloric goal, because before he was just trying to eat solid food and it just wasn't cutting it out for him. So also, digestive pacing, avoid massive portions. Just break your meals into chunks, because if you're eating massive meals and you have absolutely no appetite at the end of the day and you're gagging trying to eat your food, that's not really going to get you anywhere. And like I said, log everything into MyFitnessPal before you eat, and don't chase perfection, just chase the calories. And obviously, you guys don't want to be drinking like chocolate milk and eating donuts 24/7, but if it really comes down to it, especially if you're a younger guy, you can afford to dirty up the calories a bit, but keep it ideally 70 to 80% as clean as you can, and you'll be fine, right? And here's some supplements that you can take only if your food is actually dialed in, because supplements aren't going to be some magic thing that's going to 10x your freaking growth. It's just not the case. They're just going to assist you a bit. So like I said, whey protein, use it as a supplement, not as a staple. Creatine monohydrate, you can drink or you can take 5 grams a day, if not a bit more. Like I take around 10 myself. And with creatine, just make sure you're drinking at least a gallon of water per day, because you don't want to dehydrate yourself and then just have failed organs, because that wouldn't be any fun for anybody. Then you're like in the freaking hospital or something. And fish oil, 1,000 to 2,000 mg, EPA or DHA. And then you can also have some magnesium before bed, some digestive enzymes just to help digest your food a bit better. But like I said, these are optional. They're not necessary almost at all. Like creatine is probably the closest thing that I would say is semi-necessary, but you wouldn't even need that. These are just add-ons, right? So here's the supplements that are not worth it. So don't fall for these things. Don't buy the freaking test boosters. Don't buy fat burners. Don't buy mass gainer. Do not buy mass gainer. Don't buy mass gainer, because they're just loaded with trash filler ingredients, and you're going to feel terrible, and you're going to get scammed for like $50 for like 3 or 4 servings. It's not worth it. Don't freaking buy mass gainer. We don't like mass gainer. All right. How do I cross this out? Don't buy mass gainer. Okay, cool. So back to being dialed in. I really don't like mass gainer. So psychology of eating like a builder, you will not want to eat. Simple as that. You're not going to want to eat. And these days where your body screams for a break, where you feel bloated, exhausted, mentally foggy, This is where most skinny guys fail because they think discomfort is wrong. They think discomfort is a bad thing. But discomfort is required when you're in a surplus. That's just the reality of it because that's your signal that you're doing something different that your body isn't used to. And you're breaking an identity, not just feeding a body. So the guy who hits his lifts but doesn't eat doesn't grow. The guy who meal preps but doesn't measure doesn't grow. The guy who says I'm trying but doesn't track doesn't grow or doesn't grow nearly as much as he could. Now, growth is binary. Surplus plus training plus recovery is going to equal mass. Anything else, you're just going to be spinning your wheels or being stuck in the same spot that you've always been in. So you need to eat like your future depends on it because in reality, it does, right? So this is pretty much all that it is to nutrition, man. Like, this is all that it comes down to. Like, I'm not going to sit here and spew some nonsense to you or try to sell you some snake oil. This is just the reality of it, right? So let's move on to section 3 because I don't want to waste your time and I don't want to waste my time. So, training system that forces growth. And oh, I left the title in there. You didn't see that? All right, so stop lifting like a boy and start training like a man or like the man that you're trying to become because your body grows when it has no choice. So stop training like it does, right? So here are the 3 laws of muscle growth. Before we talk splits, reps, sets, we need to fix the foundation. There's 3 laws of muscle building or muscle gain that 99% of guys violate, right? Or skinny guys violate. One is the law of progressive overload. And this is an absolute non-negotiable because if you're not lifting heavier over time or doing more reps at the same weight, your body has zero reason to adapt. And progressive overload is going to give your body the signal that it needs to cause muscle growth or to start muscle growth. So write this down. Actually write this down or take notes of it. No progress or no progression equals no growth. It's not a plateau. It's laziness disguised as effort. Right? So might be asking Isaiah, what is progressive overload? I said it a bit in there, but all progressive overload is pretty much just overloading your body over time. So let's say you're on a bench and you can only bench for, 6 reps at like 135 pounds, for example, right? 135 on a bar, just a plate on each side. You only get it for 6 1 week, right? So you absolutely no reason why you should be still doing 135 for 6, 5 weeks down the line. Absolutely no reason at all. Ideally, you want to be hitting more reps or doing more weight at the same amount of reps or doing more reps at the same weight, right? So I'll say that again because I said it kind of weird. You want to at least be doing more reps at the same weight or more weight at the same reps, right? Never same reps at the same weight, never same weight at the same reps or whatever it may be. You always want to be progressively overloading or getting stronger in your lift slowly but surely over time. And this is what's going to force your body to grow, right? And law 2, stimulus must match your recovery because you don't grow in the gym, you grow what you recover from. So training 6 times a week doesn't make you disciplined if you're only sleeping 5 hours a night, eat like a rabbit, and then just burning out your central nervous system. Real discipline equals stimulus, recovery, and repeating that, right? So you just destroying your nervous system, you training like a madman and neglecting everything else isn't really going to get you anywhere. Sure, you can make some progress doing that, but you're not going to make nearly as much progress if you were to dial everything in. And law 3, and I said this before, you can't improve what you don't track. So the strongest guys in the gym have a logbook. They know their numbers. They chase them down every week. They don't guess, and they don't go by the way that they feel. So you might be asking, Isaiah, what the heck is a logbook? It's literally just the amount of weight that you're doing, the amount of sets and the amount of reps that you're doing, and the intensity that it took, and taking notes on how hard the set was. So like I said in the other example, let's say you took a log of the bench set that you had. Okay. So for example, let's say you do 1 plate on each side for 6 reps. Cool. That was the absolute most that you could do. Perfect. Now note that whether in your notes app, in a physical notebook, whatever it may be, write down, I got 135 for 6 reps and this was the intensity. I gave it everything that I got and put the date on there. Okay. Let's say like today is May 27th. Let's say May 27th, I did this amount for this many reps. So you can look back and beat that. And once again, like I said, progressively overload because now you have something that you can actually gauge versus just guessing or going by the way that you feel, right? Because if you want results, track every rep of your key lifts every week forever. right? And this is going to feel tedious. This is going to be going to feel kind of redundant. But once you get the hang of it, it's just going to be a part of what you do in the gym, and it's going to serve you a ton down the line because you're not going to remember the lifts that you did 3 weeks ago, not accurately at least, and you're definitely not going to remember the lifts that you did 3 months ago at all, right? So let's move on. Stop working out, and start training, because working out is just random. You're just going unplanned, emotionally driven. You saw Trend Twins hit arm day, so you're like, oh, I'm going to go work out and hit arm day myself. Like, no. Training is predated violence. And I know that's a pretty weird way to say it, but it's structured, it's tracked, and is executed with purpose, right? So from this day forward, you are training, not just working out, right? Like I said, training with purpose. And that's also obviously going to be having all of these things in mind and applying them with absolutely no negotiations at all. And here it could be your 12-week training framework. So we're going to build systems like a fortress, or we're going to build this training system like a fortress. Length, 12 weeks minimum. Don't switch your training split every single month. Don't switch your training split every couple weeks. Don't switch your training split every time you see someone on TikTok with the most optimal. Just stick to one training split. It's as simple as that for a prolonged amount of time. And then after enough time passes, you can switch it. But stop switching it every freaking month, every couple of weeks. It's stupid, right? Because the goal is to increase your strength, increase your size, and muscle control on foundational movements, right? So there's a structure that you can follow: upper lower PPL 4 to 5 times a week. And here's a split that's repeatable, recoverable, results driven. And here it is right now. So here's an upper lower split. This is what I usually give my clients, and this is what I recommend because I just love training upper lower, but you can obviously change it if you want to. So here, day 1, hit upper body A. Day 2, lower body A. Day 3, you can recover or have active recovery or hit these 4 days in a row. Whoop-de-doo, whatever it is that you want to do. And then you can have an upper body day B, lower body day B, and then have an optional recovery or cardio day and have a full rest day, or just rest on the days that you're not training, right? And this is going to give you a double exposure to your muscle groups weekly, which is essential for skinny guys who don't respond to a once a week kind of bro split or whatever TikTok stuff you guys are doing now. And here's some key movement categories. You're not here to play, you're here to grow. That means building around compound lifts that demand effort and coordination. So push, you could do barbell, dumbbell press, overhead press, dips. Pull, you could do barbell or dumbbell row. Pull-ups, lat pull-downs, face pulls, squats, leg presses, Bulgarian split squats, Romanian deadlifts, core accessories, cable curls, tricep rope push downs, calf raises, ab rollouts, X, Y, and Z. Obviously, these are just examples. You can do other lifts as well, but this is just a pretty decent glimpse of a gauge of what you could do if you chose to. Now, here is going to be session structure, the muscle building pyramid. Every training session follows this pattern, right? So first, primary movements is going to be strength focused, 3 to 2 sets, or even, I would even put 3 to 4. I'd say 2 to 3 sets of 4 to 6 reps. Think bench, squat, row. Secondary, and obviously you could change this rep range if you wanted to. Like I said, all of this is just for the sake of example if you have absolutely no idea what you're doing. So secondary compound, volume focus, 3 sets, 2 to 3, 6 to 10 reps, still heavy, but more reps, cleaner tempo. Accessories, mind muscle focus, 3 to 4 or 2 to 3, whatever you choose. I choose to do around 2 to 3 at most, or you could do 4 if you choose to. It doesn't really matter. Well, it does, but just for the sake of example, whatever. Let's just say 3 to 4. 10 to 15 reps, controlled reps, short rest around like 60 to 30 to 60 seconds rest, just to keep the volume up with these accessory movements. Or you can even up that to around like 2 to 3 minutes if you chose to. And then optional finishers, you could do like a burnout or like a stretch focus to where you're really, really controlling the weight. You can do 1 to 2 sets, drop set, rep paused, or stretch holds, or isolated movements, lateral raises, curls, etc. Right? So effort, I'm going really fast, so I just don't want to waste you guys' time. I just realized how fast I was talking. All right, effort. You're still not training hard enough. So let me guess. You hit 8 reps. It felt hard, so you stop. Right? That's not failure. That's literally just fatigue. Failure is when you grind out a rep so slow that it takes around 5 seconds, or you feel like you're legit about to die and you couldn't get another rep if somebody had a gun to your head. That's what failure is. Not just, oh, that was a little bit hard. No, it's like if a fat dude had a freaking gun at your head, you couldn't get another rep out if you wanted to, right? And then the rep doesn't even budge. So that's what failure is. Not just, oh, that was hard. Ooh, let me stop. No, bro. Okay. Because this is where growth is going to live, or that's where growth lives. And most of you have actually never been there. A lot of you guys have never even trained the failure or trained hard enough to even know what it truly feels like. So here's a rule: on your last set or your main lifts, or really every set, push the failure or 1 rep short of failure. And on your accessory lifts, go into your form gives out, or until your soul feels like it's leaving your body. And I'm not exaggerating. I mean, like, train as hard as you possibly can until you feel like you're about to die, or until you literally give out, right? And like I said, logbook is going to be your secret weapon, because if you're not tracking it, you're not serious. So create a training log on paper or on your phone or in your notes, whatever it may be, and track every main lift, every single session, every single week. So log the exercise, the weight, the reps, the IRR, reps in reserve, or literally like just the amount of reps that you could have gotten out. Ideally, it should just be 1 or 0. Like I said before, you want to be training at least to failure or 1 rep short of that. And your goal is going to be to beat those numbers every single week by reps, weight, or cleaner execution. So more more weight, more reps, or cleaner form, more dialed in form, right? So volume, frequency, and intensity targets. Let's get precise when it comes to this. So big lifts, bench, squat, pull-up, rows, 8 to 10 hard sets a week. Smaller muscles, arms, delt, calves, 10 to 15 sets per week. Rest between sets. Compounds should be 90 to 120, if not even more. You could even push this upwards to 4 to 5 minutes if you chose to. Just go by how you feel, but ideally at least these. So accessories, 45 to 60 seconds. Finishers, 30 seconds or less if you're just like kind of just doing a little drop set and you just want to rush right into it just to get a bit more of a pump out. Don't really have to rest much for that, or almost at all if you're doing a drop set. And you don't need more sets. You need better effort in the ones that you've already been doing. So a lot of you guys feel like if I just do a billion sets, I'm going to be built like Ronnie Coleman. It's actually the opposite, right? So like I said before, you want to be dialed in on the execution, not just on the effort, because sure, you can be putting in a lot of effort, but if you're not putting in effort in the right areas, or if you're training too much, it's going to be counterproductive and you're going to end up not growing from it almost at all, right? And another thing, stop scrolling on Instagram for new exercises. Like I said, stick to the same 5 to 8 movements per sections and get brutally good at them. Train with violence and recover with purpose, and repeat with obsession, right? That's how your body becomes a weapon, not just a wish. Like I said in the beginning of this, stop freaking changing your workout split. Stop following these random exercises you see on TikTok, and stop doing these. Oh, the most up. Like, dude, if you're 90 pounds, if you're 100 pounds, if you're not sure of what to do in the gym, and if you have like no real muscle on your frame, as harsh as it may sound, you don't need to be worrying about training the most optimally. Just get good at these movements, dial in with them, and perfect them almost, and work with that. You don't need to be doing some freaking upside down supinated cable curl that you saw on TikTok. Sorry. Okay, section 4, lifestyle design and environmental dominance. Because if your life isn't built to support your growth, you'll keep shrinking into it, right? And let's get into what I actually mean by this. Your physique is a reflection of your priorities, and your environment is going to reveal them all. And you might be asking, what do you mean by that? So first, sleep, the most underrated supplement that you refuse to take seriously, right? You train hard, or you can train hard. You can eat your meals, but if you're getting 5 hours of trash sleep while staring at a screen until 2 a.m., your recovery sucks. Your testosterone is going to drop. Your appetite regulation disappears, and your body fights growth at entry level, right? So here's how you're going to rebuild your sleep protocol. Go 7.5 to 9 hours of sleep every single night. This is how you're going to implement it. 90 minutes before bed, just cut out all the screens. Cut them out, right? 60 minutes before bed, you can dim the lights, silence your phone. 30 minutes before bed, like I said earlier, you could take some magnesium, stretch, or even go on a late night walk if you want to. And 15 minutes before bed, you can journal. What did I win at today? Or what was a win for today? What can I improve on tomorrow? Or improve on tomorrow, right? And then room setup. This is obviously very specific, but keep your room cold. pitch black it, noise free, and sleep is where you're going to earn what you did in the gym, because you don't build during the day, you just destroy it during the day, right? But if you don't rebuild during the night, you're also destroying it at nighttime. So you need to focus on actually getting high quality sleep, because it's huge, right? And yeah, so I read that wrong. You don't build during the day just to destroy it at night. Same thing, whatever. You guys get it, right? Dopamine. This is huge, right? The drug that's making you weak. So let's get real here. You're not struggling with discipline. You're struggling with overstimulation. Your brain is being hijacked, because if TikTok hits your dopamine receptors 5 times every 30 seconds, they're going to be fried. If Instagram Reels shows you 1,000 shredded guys in 10 minutes, you scroll and scroll and scroll and wonder why you can't focus, eat, train. It's because your nervous system is fried and your willpower is completely shot. So here's how you're going to reset this dopamine, or have this dopamine reset protocol in place, I could say. So every single day, just keep yourself free from your phone every morning. No reels or TikTok after your workouts or meals are done. And notification purge. Turn off your badges, sounds, banners, and delete 3 time wasting apps for 30 days, right? And doing this is going to make you feel so much more free mentally. And you're going to actually be able to focus in on the things that you need to actually prioritize, versus just swiping on Instagram or swiping on or scrolling on TikTok endlessly until your freaking dopamine levels numb. All right, let's go. All right, weekly. I know you guys are watching this. You're like, bro, this guy. Sorry, I got to be a little bit of myself in here. I know I'm locking back in. Here we go. Weekly. 1 full screen evening, or free screen evening, right? 1 weekend silent block, no scrolling for 12 hours. This is going to be very difficult, but it's also going to be very, very, very impactful. And read something that challenges your brain, walk, breathe, and disconnect, because real men build presence, boys just chase stimulation. And you might be thinking to yourself, oh, Isaiah, this isn't that big of a deal. Like, how's this going to help me get jacked? Like, what do you mean? Like, I scroll on TikTok 16 hours a day. Like, it's not that bad. I promise you, if you're able to implement this for at least a couple of weeks, you're going to see so much of a difference that you're never going to want to go back to the same mind-numbing daily experience that you've been putting yourself through. Try it out. It's going to help you a ton, and it's going to help you focus and dial in on, like I said before, the things that you actually need to be focused on, right? And daily routine, discipline through structure. If your day is chaotic, so is your program. Structure isn't punishment, it's peace. When your time is claimed by your priorities, you stop wasting it on distractions. So here's a simple routine for skinny guys on this mission to actually become the minute they want to be, right? So wake up in the morning. Now, obviously, like I said, this is just for the sake of example. I know a lot of you guys may wake up earlier than this. I personally wake up earlier than this. I will usually wake up around 5. And if you guys wake up at 6, 7, 8, whatever it may be, just take this as an example, and don't feel like you have to follow this 100% through, because if your morning routine is dialed in, you can kind of disregard this part. So you can wake up, chug some water, because that's important. You can get 10 minutes of sunlight or walk, can journal 1 win, 1 focus for the day, have a high protein breakfast, plan your training, prep your meals, right? Midday, you can have your training block, post workout meal, focus work or class, whatever it may be. And then hydration could be your digestion walk, or hydration, and you could incorporate your digestion walk after you eat. Evening is going to be dinner, your biggest meal. Put your phone on D&D when you're about to go to bed. Cold shower or contrast therapy or a hot shower. I personally would take my cold showers in the morning. But if you choose to take your cold showers at night, that's fine too. Have a pre-bed shake if you choose to, or if you really need to get some more calories in. Journal your wins and review for tomorrow, right? So pretty simple stuff. Like I said, you don't have to take that into 100% consideration and feel like you have to do it. It could just be something that's helpful, right? So here's a Sunday audit, the ritual that rebuilds your life weekly. Every Sunday, do a 30-minute life check-in, no phones, just you and your system. So ask yourself every single Sunday, did I gain weight? Yes or no? Did I beat my lifts? Yes or no? Did I hit 85% of my daily habits? Yes or no? Where did I slip up? Why and how do I fix this? Or what's the fix? How would the 20-pound heavier version of me have acted differently this week? And rinse and repeat this every single week to keep yourself on track with your goals, because this is important. Because if you don't reflect and audit the things that you need to change, nothing is going to change, because you're always going to stay the same without coming to terms with the fact or realizing that a change needs to be made, like I said in the beginning of this. So this ritual alone would do more for your results than any meal plan or program ever could, because like I said, it's going to tell you exactly what you need to do to change, and do so on a very, very consistent basis. And cut the dead weight. This is important. Friends, environment, energy links. You can't keep your circle if it keeps pushing you back or pulling you back into the version of you that you're trying to kill, right? If your friends are asking you, bro, why are you eating so much? You change. One night off won't kill you. You know, these things will kill you if you allow them to, because if you continuously allow these inputs from, or these outputs come into your mind from these other people, and you allow yourself to slip up, if they're like, hey, let's go party, oh, you don't got to eat that, or you can slack off for today, you can slack off for the week, it's not that big of a deal. Over time, this is going to get to you, and you're going to end up backsliding and slipping, and then before you know it, you're going to be back to where you were, or you're just not going to be nearly as close as to the man as you want to be, as you should be, because the old version of you is always waiting for you to come back. So you need to make sure he has nowhere to live. So whether that looks like removing friends from the environments that are inviting you to parties, telling you to do drugs, telling you to be unproductive, removing yourself from unhealthy environments, whatever it may be, remove yourself from them, and protect yourself from going back to the person that you're trying to kill, right? Which is the old version of you. Whether you want to realize it or not, this is huge. So here's some energy audit exercises. Ask yourself this about everything and everyone. Does this help me become the man that I'm trying to become, or does it keep me small? If the answer is it keeps me small, cut it, distance yourself, reclaim your energy. Discipline doesn't just come from habits, but it comes from what you choose to eliminate. And this could also include friends, right? And here's what I like to call a grown man environment setup. If your room looks like a 15-year-old lives in there, you're going to operate like one. A man's environment reflects his priorities. Excuse me, sorry about that. Cleans his space. No fast food wrappers or protein bar trash sitting around his room. Supplements and logbooks are visible. Alarm across the room. Book near your bed. Prep meals in the fridge. Whiteboard with weekly targets. And obviously, you guys don't have to have these things, but the whole purpose of this little segment is to keep your space organized, to keep your space clean, so your mind can be clear. Because if your space is chaotic, your mind's going to be chaotic. And if your mind's chaotic, then it's going to be a lot harder for you to actually get things done in the long run. So you need to walk into your space and feel like the future version of yourself lived there. Even if your body isn't fully there yet, like I said in the beginning, you're going to have to act like this version of you before it's actually here. That's the key to this. And your growth isn't just about the weights you lift or the meals that you eat. It's about how you structure your life to become the man that you respect. So build your environment for war, because becoming someone new is a war. You're constantly fighting against this old version of you that is doing everything that he can to make you come back to the place that you don't want to be in, or to make you be him once again, right? It's literally a war. And section 5, the execution system in the final battle. So you know what to do. So why haven't you done it? The knowledge gap isn't your problem. The execution gap is. And it's time to close it permanently. And this is why you're still stuck, even after watching this whole video of me breaking everything down for you. You don't need another strategy. You need to follow through on the one that you already have. Most skinny guys fail because they only execute when it feels good, when they're motivated, when they're excited, when they see progress. But when they're tired, when life gets busy, when they hit a plateau, they lose 5% of that fire. Then they stop, right? Or when they lose 5% of that fire, they stop. And that's why nothing changes. So the psychology of execution and proof before confidence. Confidence doesn't come from motivational speaking or speeches or content or even watching videos like this. It comes from proof. So every time you finish a session you didn't feel like doing, you hit your macros even when you weren't hungry, you go to sleep on time even when YouTube calls you by your name, you prove to your brain, I do what I say I'm going to do. And over time, that proof becomes your confidence. And the non-negotiable checklist that you want to use if you want the 20-pound transformation, then you need to live like the guy who already has it, like I've been saying this whole video. Here's an example. Here's a 5-for-5 execution system. Every day you hit 5 non-negotiables. You hit over or equal to 100 calories of your target, over or under equal to, over, not under, over or equal to 10 grams of your target, workouts completed with your tracked logs, sleep more than 7.5 hours, and have a 10-minute audit or journal and reflect on what you did right and what you did wrong and how you can improve. And when you track like this, like your life depends on it, each one you miss is going to be one strike. And if 3 strikes hit you in a week, or if you hit 3 strikes in a week, you audit it and adapt. You don't quit. You just change what you've been doing wrong, or change your behavior, habit, or even if it's something super, super small that you feel like has been holding you back, you audit that. You don't just tap out because you messed up a couple of times, because in reality, you're not going to be perfect. So the weekly audit, like I said, do it every Sunday. A man who reviews his week is a man who owns his life. So every Sunday, take 30 minutes to answer these weekly review questions. What was my average weight each day or each week, if you choose to weigh yourself per week? Because realistically, you don't need to weigh yourself every single day, right? Did I gain or did I stall weight? What lifts improved? So which ones stalled? What meals did I miss or undereat, and why? What behaviors weakened me this week? Scrolling, skipping, quitting. Where did I win? What am I proud of? What does the man I want to be do differently next week? And you constantly doing this and iterating and changing your behaviors is going to allow you to consistently improve over time, not only in the gym, but outside of the gym as well, because all of these kind of go hand in hand. So remove your emotions from it. Don't lie to yourself. Just put the data down and be honest and face the truth and change what you need to. So the lie killers, exposing your patterns. You say, I just wasn't feeling it today. A lie, I didn't have time. A lie, I ate enough probably. Another lie. These lies are why you're still looking the same. The more comfortable you are calling yourself out, the faster that you transform. And this is relating to what I said in the beginning of the video. The more that you're able to tell yourself, I messed up, I did this wrong, I did that wrong, I didn't execute, and I didn't do this, and you take ownership of your mistakes and you call yourself out consistently versus saying, oh, this happened so, or that happened so, and just making excuses. Once you're able to give yourself that power of blaming you, is when you're going to be able to change you. Because if you point at everything else, you're giving everything else the power to control you. But when you point at yourself, you're giving yourself the ability and the chance to change for the better. So become more comfortable with calling yourself out and be more real with yourself as often as you possibly can, right? So here's the 7 phases of the identity rebuild. And this is how you're going to go from the skinny guy with goals to a built man with standards. So phase 1 is realization. You finally admitted that you're not proud of where you are. Phase 2, decision. You choose to go all in no matter what. Phase 3, rituals. You build your meals, workout, and sleep into rituals. Phase 4, isolation. You distance yourself from people who hold you back. Phase 5, resistance. You keep going when it gets hard and unmotivating. And phase 6 is going to be the results. You start seeing the scale climb and the mirror change. And phase 7 is going to be reinforcement, because you become addicted to the discipline because of what you've built, and repeat this cycle until the new you is the only version that actually exists, right? This is the key. And one of my clients, Jesse, came to me around 127, 120 pounds, 130 pounds, somewhere around there. He had little to no confidence. He hated what he saw in the mirror. He ate a couple meals a day. He told me he was disappointed, let down, discouraged, and really angry all the time. And we built his 90-day plan. In the first 2 weeks, his appetite was kind of trash. His lifts weren't as strong as he wanted it to be. And he didn't really truly believe in himself quite yet. But he stuck to the plan. He worked through the resistance. He outworked the version of him that wanted him to give up. And 60 days later, he was around 144 pounds, right? And he had new shoulders, new traps, new strength, new confidence, not just because of the food or the training, but because of who he had become to execute that. And that's what this program is about. You don't need more videos. You don't need another free workout plan. You don't need better genetics, a new app, or some magic macro formula. You need to decide that you're done being the version of you. You're done being this version of you. You're done watching other guys pass you. You're done doubting yourself in every room, and you're done living like the smallest version of yourself. Yeah, I'm freaking fumbling this. You're done living like the smallest version of yourself is all there is. There we go. I apologize. So here's what happens now. I've been talking for a long time. Give me a break. All right. If this video changed how you see yourself, if you're done trying this alone, and if you're ready to take for a real step-by-step plan one-on-one coaching in a system that guarantees growth, DM me the word coach on Instagram at Isaiah Yee, or click the link below in the description to book a call with me. And obviously this isn't for everyone. This isn't free. This isn't just going to be something that, tire kickers or guys who are just not really happy with where they are but not willing to make the changes for. This is only for serious guys, only for people who are willing to invest, serious about their transformation, and are ready to actually put in the work, and ready to become or step into the man that they were meant to be. So your physique isn't going to be the only thing that will change. Your discipline, your confidence, your presence, all of it. And it starts with one decision. So let's make it happen. So either text me on Instagram, book a call with me, or hop on a call, come up with your game plan and get something rolling. But if not, I hope this video helped you guys. God bless you. Jesus loves you. I love you guys too. And I really hope this in less than 3 months that he did in over a year before working with me previously. And not only that, he's able to continue to grow after working with me one-on-one. In this video, I'm going to show you guys the exact system that I plugged into my client Jesse's life so he could pack on 20 pounds in less than 90 days and becoming a completely different man in the process. So I'm not going to waste any time. I'm just going to show you guys from A to Z exactly what we did and how we were able to get Jesse to coming from being at a place to where he was lost in the gym, didn't really have any drive, wasn't really able to make much progress on his own, to making the most progress he's ever made in less than 3 months, and just actually becoming that confident version of himself that he always wanted to be. So as you can see on this left side, this is around about Jesse's starting point, and he reached out to me on Instagram telling me that he wanted my help. He wanted to work with me one-on-one, and he had just got out of a draining relationship and lost his progress, and he was really just stuck. 1, not really having the motivation. 2, not really having the system. And 3, not really seeing any results because he was training for about a year before. And when he came to me, he was around about a year, maybe a year and a half into training. But as you can see, he really wasn't making nearly as much progress. But when we dialed in everything, he was able to get all the way upwards to gaining over 20 pounds and being at a spot to where he wanted to be. So I'll stop rambling and I'll go over the specifics of what we actually did for Jesse, or what I actually did for Jesse, and how we were able to get him there. So first thing that I want to dial in on is the one-on-one calls that me and Jesse had every single week. One thing that's really, really important to me as a coach and just as a person in general is to make sure that anyone that I come in contact with is able to gain as much value as possible. So one, of course, these calls were about making sure that Jesse was on track with his goals, making sure that he understood every single aspect of training, whether that was form, intensity, X, Y, and Z, making sure he was on track and doing what he needed to do. But outside of that, me and Jesse actually formed a pretty much friendship, right? Like I would be on these calls with this guy and he dialed in this system so efficiently that we would get on these calls and he'd be like, yeah, man, I hit another PR this week. Yeah, man, I'm doing good. I ate all my meals. I'm hitting my macros every single day. I'm gaining around a pound, maybe a little bit more per week. And I'm getting stronger and I'm really liking the way that I look. So we would just hop on these calls and just talk about his life, his goals, and his struggles outside of the gym, and figuring out exactly how he could apply the principles that he learned in the gym to these areas in his life, whether that was him trading, whether that was him dealing with his college or his work environment, whatever it may have been, relationships. We were just talking and forming a genuine connection. But these one-on-one calls were obviously for accountability, but it was also for that relational side that matters a lot to me. And what this did is it allowed Jesse to be even more transparent with me, so we were able to really dissect exactly what was holding him back. And in that process, he was obviously able to make a ridiculous amount of progress, as you saw in the beginning of the video. So, like I said, on these one-on-one calls, me and Jesse not only went over everything that was going on in the gym week after week, making sure he was on track, hitting his goals every single week, whether that was progressively overloading, gaining half a pound, maybe even more per week, just making sure that he was on track, hitting every single goal in these calls. We went over every single constraint that could have possibly been holding him back, and we got to a point, like I said, to where he was locked in on all these habits that we would just get on this call and talk about his life, because I want to make sure that I'm not only getting my clients results in the gym, but I'm also forming a genuine connection with these guys and making sure that they're good, hence the name BTG, or Beyond the Gym, which is just the name of my coaching company. So that was the 101 accountability side of things checked off. In a nutshell, this is what we did on these calls. Second thing that I want to go over is Jesse's goal-specific training, because Jesse came to me with a very specific goal, like you guys saw in the beginning of the video. If I'll be able to scroll up here, Jesse's goal was obviously to pack on more size and become more confident and just be able to make the progress that he lost in that relationship and even surpass that. So obviously I'm not going to throw Jesse some cookie cutter split or some random workout plan that I saw online. I made sure that I was able to understand how Jesse preferred to train, what he was used to. The biggest thing that I set up for Jesse was I didn't just give him a workout split. I split it into 3 phases, right? So I didn't just throw him a split to where, let's say, he was at phase 3 or phase 2 and that was it. But no, we had a first phase, second phase, and third phase of training. And as you can see, this is a screenshot from just a singular workout that he had to do a random day. Because I'm obviously not just going to give out the whole split that he did. Otherwise, it would take up this whole screen because it was over the course of over 3 months. But in the first phase, I made sure that Jesse was able to just understand how to train. Understand that tempo, intensity, mind muscle connection, literally everything that went into training, warming up, what things should feel like, what things shouldn't feel like. In this first phase, we were just focusing more so on volume and actually showing up to the gym and learning how to do these movements properly. So in the second phases, Jesse was going to be able to push himself harder, put on a few more plates, whatever it may have been, just getting him to a point to where he was comfortable training and training hard. Because of course you can sit here and be like, hey man, I know how to lift, and then if you go for a set that only has two reps or whatever it may be, just for the sake of example, he's going to end up getting himself hurt. And obviously my goal with working with these guys isn't to set them up for failure. So I wasn't going to just throw Jesse into the deep end and say, here, train as hard as possible with a movement that you don't even know how to do, because obviously that would lead to him getting injured and not making any progress at all. So like I said, Jesse had a very specific goal to pack on more mass, and there's so many different routes that you can go with training. But the biggest things that we wanted to make sure that we did was one, have a training split that could actually work with his schedule, where that was with work, college, or whatever it may have been with his personal life. And I wanted to make sure that this was something that actually worked for his lifestyle specifically. Not just some split that I thought would work, some split that I knew 100% would work with his schedule, with his lifestyle, with everything that he had going on. Because obviously my clients are human, they're not robots. They're not going to just be able to just be like, okay, I'm going to do this and cut off every single aspect of my life. No, we want to make sure that this actually works for their lives specifically. And that's why I didn't throw him just some cookie cutter plan that didn't work, or some random workout plan that I just throw at anyone, any and everyone. So we got down to the specifics, the movements that he preferred, what he didn't prefer, and we dialed in every single training phase in the 3 phases, like I said. And this is a screenshot of one of the workouts that we did in phase 1, just to kind of get him used to everything. We were just solidifying the training so much so to where he would just be able to show up and understand how to do every single movement, understanding everything from tempo, intensity, and mind-muscle connection. mind-muscle connection, and having this, without a doubt, allowing him to understand everything in phase 1, exactly how to train X, Y, and Z, so we can push harder in the second and third phases of training. And I gave Jesse a 4-day split, which was upper lower. It was around about Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or it was either we may have switched it to Monday, Tuesday, pause, and then Friday, Saturday. But he was training 4 times a week, doing upper lower. And then in this first phases, as you can see, we had a couple different ranges of sets. But as we progressed into the second and third phases, we just dropped this down to 2 sets across the board, reduced the amount of reps that he was doing so we could really push for mass. And this looked like 2 sets from anywhere from like 8 to 10. And we obviously, worked on his weak points, whatever it may have been, and brought everything up that he wanted to bring up. So that's training in a nutshell. And now community. And this is something that's very, very important to me, and something that I implemented a little bit after Jesse had initially joined. So I realized that not only did these guys need some type of support from me, training, nutrition guidance, but they also needed a community. They need people that are on the exact same journey that they're on, doing the exact same thing, have the exact same mindset and the exact same willingness to put in the work, and ultimately just give them more of a reason to push themselves harder. And that's exactly what I implemented a couple weeks into me and Jesse working together. As you can see, these are a couple of guys that were in BTG, or that are in BTG, and we would hop on these group calls every single week and just talk about life, talk about what was holding them back in the gym, things that they needed to work on, things that they wanted to improve on outside of the gym, like I said, and just having a community full of guys that, one, we're on the same journey, like I said, because every single one of these guys were working with me one-on-one, yes, but just adding them into a group and forming a brotherhood just allowed every single person inside of BTG to be better as a result of that. So like I said, I wanted to make sure I didn't just give my clients a meal plan or a workout plan, but I wanted to provide them with as much value as possible. And what we do, or what we need as men with bigger goals, or with anything that we're trying to achieve, is we need a community, right? Like I said, this is a screenshot of one of the many group calls that we had, and this was just a couple of the guys in BTG. Obviously, not every single person was able to make it to the group calls at the exact same time, but my guy Jesse was in this one, so I obviously put it in this video. But like I was saying, these group calls, we have men on the exact same journey that was pushing him every single day, not only holding him accountable, with these guys holding them accountable too, and forming a real connection with other people. This in itself gave him even more drive to push himself even harder, because it wasn't just me holding him accountable, but it was multiple other guys too. And these guys were able to just sharpen each other and continue to push each other and improve every single day. So not only was Jesse able to have a relationship with just, let's say, online coach, which is me, and I'm typing this with my mouse, or drawing this with my mouse, so it may look a little bit crazy. And then this is, let's say, Jesse, right? And this is just one person holding him accountable, one person sending him reminders, one person talking to him every single day. And of course, this could work because obviously, whether we had this community or not, Jesse was going to make progress. But when you add on a community full of guys, and then you take just one singular person holding them accountable, and you multiply this by 10 to 20 people, then all of a sudden Jesse has 10x the amount of accountability that he didn't have before. So not only is he getting advice and getting accountability from me and having conversations with me, he's also having conversations and having a community full of men pushing him 10 to 20 times more. And this ultimately led him to making even more progress than he would have made with just working with me alone. So we had a community, or a private group in Slack, to where we would just talk to each other. These guys would just update each other on their meals, on their training. They give each other physique updates. They ask each other questions and just form a genuine relationship with each other. Because like I said, as men, we need a community. I don't want to just be a coach. I want to help these guys in every single area of their lives. So community was definitely something that helped Jesse a ton. And every single person in BTG told me that they love these calls. So I know 100% this was something that helped them a ton. I don't know why Myro did that. But that's community in a nutshell. Third thing, am I mistaken? No, fourth thing that we did was something that I like to call habit stacking, right? So habits, without a doubt, was the biggest needle mover for Jesse, because when it comes down to it, you can train, you can eat and show up for, a couple calls for a week or two, right? And then fall off. Because what really happens is you can say, hey man, I want to make this change, and you're really fired up, you have the motivation, quote unquote, and you're doing great the first week, but it's really easy to fall back, right? And just backslide to where you were at before. And with Jesse, you could easily just backslide to the same habits that he had before that was leaving him here, with his meals, with his training, with his mindset, with his recovery, with everything that he was doing. He could have easily backslid to this, but habit stacking pretty much prevented him from falling back into his old habits and just solidifying the habits of the person that he wanted to become, ultimately leading him to becoming said person, right? So habits, without a doubt, was the biggest needle mover for Jesse, because when it comes down to it, you can train for a few weeks and then fall off, but really solidifying these needle moving tasks and making sure that he checked these off every single day. Every single habit on here he checked off every day and made sure that he was on track hitting his goals. We saw that he even surpassed his goal after having all these habits so solidified. They became second nature. So not only was he able to just check off the list day after day, but he was able to become a different person completely in the process, and he embodied the type of man that he wanted to become. And as a result, this reflected on his physique. And I go over this in a whiteboard video that I explained for about 30 minutes to 40 minutes on here, and you can check that out. I'll put this on the screen, or I'll put it in the next screen over when this video ends, so you can actually see the importance of this. But basically, like I said, these are just a few of the habits that I have set for some of my guys, and we had them do these every single day and just had it so solidified to where it was almost impossible for him to fail. So here are a few: journaling, reflecting hard on the day, what could have been better, what you could do better tomorrow, logging his lifts every single time he went to the gym, texting me, keeping me updated on this progress, and just having more accountability and being like, hey, this is what I did, this is where I fell short, and just having an action plan to make sure that we did it even better the next day. And obviously things like weighing himself dry in the morning, making sure that he was actually on track to hit that weight goal that we had set, because obviously gaining 20 pounds is no super easy task, and if we were going to fall off, I wanted to catch it right then and there so he wouldn't completely fall off and stop making progress. So us doing this just allowed us to, like I said, linearly progress every single week. And here are a few things, obviously, like cardio, drinking a gallon of water, hitting his macro goals, hitting a wake up time, because this is very important. Just having a set routine so solidified into Jesse that he, like I said, once again became a completely different person in the process, right? So this is habit stacking in short, and like I said, I have a full-blown 30-minute video going over this and how important it is to habit switch slash habit stack, and this in itself helped Jesse even more. And then lastly, we had some identity shifting modules, and this is basically even more bonuses for Jesse to upgrade his mindset and just understanding everything from the real reason he stayed small upwards to this point, what happened if he didn't change, what happened if he does change, basically just making it crystal clear on how exactly this is going to affect him, not only in the gym, but outside of the gym as well. And the Skinny Guy playbook, you know, how muscle growth actually works, making sure that he knows everything from A to Z. I don't want my guys just being like, hey, I'm going to blindly follow this. I want to make sure that they understand why they're doing what they're doing every single day, why it's important to track, why it's important to log, why it's important to do tempo or train with a certain tempo. Why it's important to think a certain way, X, Y, and Z. All of these things are ridiculously important. And so I made sure that my guys understand this in and out, because my goal as a coach isn't to have these guys holding my hand forever. My coaching program is 12 weeks or 3 months, and that's the hard stopping point that I want my guys to be able to learn exactly what to do, get the result, and be able to understand it so much so that if they chose to, then they can just go out and make progress completely on their own. And that's exactly what my guy Jesse is doing. But like I said, some of my clients like to just work with me after this. So if they chose to continue working with me, then they could. But like I said, I don't want them being so dependent on me to where, let's say, I die one day or they stop working with me and then they lose their progress, right? I want my guys to be set up for success in the long run. Something like, you know, giving a man a fish versus teaching him how to fish, right? One's going to have it, one's going to have it for a lifetime, or one's going to have it temporarily, one's going to have it for a lifetime. And obviously, you know, while most guys train wrong, the actual eating problems, like the psychology behind the things that was holding them back, you know, while motivation is a lie and he shouldn't be, you know, completely dependent on it, what he needs to avoid or what caused him to fall off in the past. And, you know, setting up a training routine. So once he's able to actually solidify everything, let's say he's not on the program anymore, he could easily just make his own split or follow the split that I gave him, whatever it may have been, right? And then building his meal plan and then tracking his progress, like I said. So obviously, you know, like I said, on top of this, Jesse had access to modules showing him how to break his current identity or his previous identity and embodying the man that he wanted to become. And like I said, in the habit section, this is one of the most important things when it comes to actually achieving your goals, because a lot of coaches out there just throw information, throw programs at their clients, and then leave them out to dry, But I wanted to make sure that Jesse had every single principle understood and that he solidified it in himself so much so that not only was he able to make progress working with me or having me as his coach 101, but he was also going to be able to make progress completely on his own after the coaching program was done. Because like I said, my biggest thing is I don't want my clients to be dependent on me forever. I want them to continue to achieve their goals after they're done working with me. Because in my opinion, if your clients aren't able to just go out and completely, you know, just crush it on their own and continue to make progress, then you failed as a coach. That's my opinion. I know a lot of coaches out there may not think the same, and they're just like, oh, I want to keep my clients on and make as much money from this person as possible, but I don't think that way, right? So these are the core things that we solidified in the Jesse, and this is how he was able to pack on over 20 pounds in less than 90 days after being stuck in kind of a cycle of starting or making a bit more progress and then falling off for about a year, right? So this system in itself allowed Jesse, and I'll say this again, to make more progress in less than 3 months than he did in over a year before working with me previously. And not only that, he's able to continue to grow after working with me one-on-one, right? So obviously you guys are able to see everything that I did from start to finish, and obviously this information is good and you can apply this to yourself, but the reality of it is there's thousands of YouTube videos like this online. There's thousands of training programs out there online. There's ChatGPT. You have all the information, right? Like me, I'm sharing this information that my clients pay me for free. And the reason why I'm able to do this and not be worried about it is because, one, I want you guys to be able to make progress on your own. So if you take all of this and apply it to your life, the habit stacking, surrounding yourself with the right community, you know, having everything dialed in, you can 100% make progress. But the reality of it is information does not equal implementation, right? And the biggest thing is a lot of people have this confused. They think if I just have all the information that I'm somehow just going to magically get the result. But if that was the case, you wouldn't even be watching this video. This video is around 15 to 20 minutes long. If you already made the progress that you wanted to make, you wouldn't be here so far, right? You would have clicked off the video and be like, man, I'm doing perfectly fine. You could easily watch 1,000 videos and just learn, and never implement, but that will lead to you never making progress, right? Obviously, Jesse being in a situation for a year, he didn't make nearly as much progress or any progress at all. He was getting discouraged and was at a point to where he was like, man, I don't even know if I should continue training because I'm not growing, right? And that's because he didn't have the right system and he didn't implement the system in the right way. Versus someone like Jesse who joins and he gets the system and he implements it, then he gets the result 100%. And we see this in this video. Everything that I've been explaining upwards to this point shows exactly what I'm saying. So I'll say all this to say you guys could learn from this video. You can see like, okay, Isaiah did this, and this, and you know, he applied this, and you can try to apply it to yourself. But the reality of it is this probably isn't the first one of these videos that you watch. So I say all that to say, if you're ready for me to work with you one-on-one to apply the same system into your life so you can actually gain the muscle, gain the confidence, actually make progress and keep the progress long-term and have a domino effect of you improving in every single area of your life from the gym, beyond the gym, hence the name, like I said, then click the link below and book in a call with me. And obviously, this isn't just for people who are like, man, I want a little bit more free advice, because you can go on my channel and just look at all the other videos that I posted. I may post this on a separate channel, but if you look up my name, you're going to find my YouTube channel with about 6K subs, and you're going to see all the videos that I made. I have hundreds of videos out there. So if you just want more freebies, don't click the link below, don't book a call. But if you're actually ready to make a similar transformation that Jesse did, and you're tired of spinning your wheels, you're tired of staying in the exact same spot, click the link below, book in a call with me, and we'll get something going, and we'll make sure that you actually make the progress that you've been wanting to make for years. But like I said, if this isn't you, go ahead and just watch this video, try to apply it if you want to. Do not book that call, because like I said, I'm not going to hop on calls with just any and everyone. I value my time, and I'm not going to sit here and waste my time or your time if you're just like, hey man, I don't even know if I want this. So if you really want this, you're really serious, book in a call with me. But hopefully this was able to help you guys in some way, shape, or form, or at least give you some sort of a roadmap of exactly what you need to do in your life. And as you can see, the result speaks for itself. My client Jesse is one of the guys in BTG that have made a ridiculous amount of progress outside of it. But every single person that joins BTG hits the result, because my guarantee is that if you don't gain the desired goal, which is obviously gaining 20 pounds if you're watching this video, then I'm going to work with you for free until you do hit that goal. So it's a guarantee. It means unless you don't put in the work, there's literally no way that you don't make progress. So like I said, booking that call with me with the link below, I'll obviously have it pinned in the comments as well. And hopefully this was able to help you guys get some sort of at least roadmap on what to do in your lives. So if you book that call, I will speak with you soon. But if you don't, go ahead and just watch this video, watch the other videos, apply it to your life, and you can definitely make some progress as well. I love you guys. Jesus loves you too, and I'll see you in the next one. So like I said, I want you guys to actually understand this from a first principles perspective, or just understand the ins and outs of this so you can actually apply it to your life, because I don't want you guys to just watch this video and not do anything with it. Anyway, the first thing that I want you guys to understand is that we are who we are because of something called our identity. Identity. And this is basically just, like I said, who we are, what we do. And identity is something like clay, right? I see this guy who makes similar videos that I do. And he says your identity is like clay, and you can mold it to whatever you want it to be. And the thing that molds our identity the most is what? Our habits. Our habits. And you might think to yourself, okay, Isaiah, what does habits have to do with identity? I'm not gay. I'm not identifying as, a woman or whatever it may be. What does this mean? All right. What this means is that who you are is determined by what you do. Now, I'll use an example of this. Let's say we have someone here who his autopiloted habits, or unconscious habits, I should say, unconscious habits. I probably spelled that wrong. I got kicked out of school. Don't worry about it. I got kicked out of college, so don't judge me if I spell anything wrong. Just freaking understand what I'm saying. So this man, let's call him Tim. let's say Tim's unconscious habits or his autopiloted habits or things that he does is kind of second nature to him are these things. Let's say Tim doom scrolls for 10 hours a day, and he eats junk food, and he smokes a ton of weed, and he lays in bed all day. Similar to, doom scrolling for 10 hours. All right, so Tim, let's say his unconscious habits or the habits that are engraved in him right now are doom scrolling for 10 hours. He eats a ton of junk food, he smokes a ton of weed, and he stays in bed all day, and he doesn't really do much, right? And let's say his hygiene is even bad, like no shower. Cool. Now, this is obviously an extreme example because this makes him a complete what? Loser. In this example, right? If you want to argue with a wall. If you sit down and doom scroll, eat junk food, do nothing but smoke weed, and lay in bed all day, you're a freaking loser. And if you disagree with me, like I said, go talk to a wall. Anyway, let's get back to the video. So Tim here is his identity is, let's say he's a loser, or he's not the man that he wants to be, or he's just not his best self. All right, just to kind of keep the theme of this video consistent. All right, cool. So all of these, I say all this to say, Tim's habits make him who he is, ultimately leaning to his identity, being molded into this loser that I've described him as, right? So all of these habits, let's think of it like a clay pot, right? So when you're dealing with clay, it starts like a big chunk, and then you put water on it, and it has this little spinny wheel, and you're pressing down on it with your foot, and then you're molding it, right? So let's say all of these unconscious habits or even conscious habits, whatever it may be, is Tim molding his identity into becoming a loser, right? And the dangerous thing about this is, once your identity is solidified, it's a little bit hard to kind of get out of this loop, especially if you're unaware of it, aka you have these unconscious habits that you kind of just do on autopilot, right? So as he doom scrolls every single day, eats junk food, smokes weed, does all this stuff, he's molding his identity into being this loser or this just not his best version of himself, right? So this ultimately means he is, in a sense, making himself this way, but because these habits are unconscious, it's kind of hard for him to even get out of this journey. And sometimes with people like this, they can get these thoughts of, man, like I'm trying to do better, or this is just who I am, or like in the most dangerous situations, this is just like, I don't care, because these habits are so engraved into Tim, and he's so used to kind of molding himself into this version. And we can continue to use this clay example. When you make clay, when you mold it into a specific way, let's say this version of him is a bowl. After you make clay, you put it in this kind of heated chamber so it hardens, right? So after a while, if you do this for, let's say, 3 to 6 months, and this is very, very engraved into you, in a way, these 3 to 6 months acts as the heating chamber for this clay, which is your identity, that you're molding every single day. And, over this time period, it heats this bowl, meaning now, other than this being more so like a moldable, soft kind of little clay thing, it becomes a very, very hard bowl. Meaning what? It's harder to manipulate, it's harder to change, it's harder to get out of this sort of cycle that my boy Tim is in right now. And it kind of feels like you can be in here forever. So I hope this makes sense for you guys, right? Biggest thing that I want you guys to understand right now is that these habits mold your identity kind of like clay. And the further along that you solidify this, or the longer that you utilize these habits, or the longer that you continue to do these things and train your brain to desire these things, is the more so amount of time that you leave this in this heated chamber. And over a long enough time period, if you put clay in a freaking heating chamber, it's going to get hard. Meaning it's going to make it feel almost impossible
to get out of this cycle. And another way that we can kind of think about this is with drug addicts or with people who are, alcoholics or whatever it may be, whatever addiction, whatever thing that you can think of that is hard to break or that is bringing you down a path that you don't want to be down. Um, this is just kind of feeding that cycle. It's literally like a flywheel, but in this case, it's not benefiting you at all. So, let's use like the alcoholic example. Let's say he drinks all day, or not even drinks all day. He gets stressed out, so he drinks, which is an unconscious habit, right? An unconscious habit can be something like, okay, when you go outside and the sun hits your eyes, you do a little squint, or if you wake up, you doom scroll, right? Like just things that you kind of automatically do. These are what unconscious habits are, and like conscious habits are obviously like things that don't happen automatically, but things that you kind of have to go out of your way to kind of make sure that you do. So if you're newer to the gym, a conscious habit is, taking yourself to a gym despite it not being like engraved into you almost automatically, if that makes sense. Anyway, so let's say this guy, he gets stressed out, so he drinks, and then let's just use that for this example. So the longer he does that, the more he trains his brain to think, hey, stress equals we need to do this thing, because your brain is literally just a muscle and you're going to continue to train it. So stress equals drink, drink equals dopamine, and so on and so forth, but that comes with consequences. And the longer that he does this, the more so he solidifies his habit or trains his brain to desire these things. And then ultimately it becomes harder for him to stop drinking. I just use this example so you guys can kind of get more so of a perspective on exactly how this negative cycle works. But you clicked on this video not because you wanted to know, hey, how can I be the worst version of yourself? You want to know, how can I use anything that you just said to become better? And the beautiful thing is about your brain is, like I said, it's a muscle. You can train it, right? Like you can literally train your brain to do pretty much anything, right? So this same cycle that can bring you down a kind of a downward spiral, you can use this exact same thing, but just flip it in a positive way to become your best version of yourself and do so on autopilot. So let me get this cleaned up and explain how you guys can do that. All right, so let's say my boy Tim is sick and tired of being in the spot that he's in right now. So let's draw Tim. And let's say Tim is like, I want to be better. All right, let's say Tim wants to be better. And like I said, Tim is used to doom scrolling. He's used to, let's say junk food, let's say video games, and then let's say drugs. All right, cool. So these are Tim's normal kind of unconscious habits, or let's just say habits, whichever one. You can kind of use it interchangeably in this example. So the thing that I want you guys to understand is our brains work in a very specific way. Meaning that even though Tim says he wants to not do these things, since he's literally trained his brain to desire each and every one of these things, he can't just cold turkey it. And if he does, it's going to be something like this. If he decides to cold turkey it, let me draw this graph. Can you guys see that? Yeah, okay. I'm sure you guys can see that. So here, let me draw it this way. So let's say Tim decides to do what a lot of you guys try to do. Just go all in, cold turkey it. Just do a drastic change overnight and kind of expect yourself to, just stick to it long term. And while with some people it's possible, I'm not saying it's impossible. It's just a lot less likely than this other method I'm going to show you. But let me show you in Tim's perspective. Let's say Tim all of a sudden overnight sees a David Goggins video. He's like, man, I want to change. So he says, tomorrow I'm not going to doom scroll. I'm not going to eat any junk food. I'm not going to play any video games. I'm not going to do any drugs. I'm just going to cut it off all cold turkey. And I'm going to be freaking monk mode. I'll be locked in. It's my, winter arc. Okay. So, like I said, your brain is a muscle. So Tim's brain has been trained to desire, let's say, this level of dopamine. right? Like this level of pleasure that he gets from each and every one of these things, which is why he continues to do it, which is why this is a habit. So let's say each one of these has, let's just do points, just for a simple metric. 10, 10, 10 points. All right. So let's say each of these points represents a level of dopamine, right? A level of pleasure, a level of some feel good hormone that your brain desires, right? So overnight, Tim decides to strip his brain of 40 points of dopamine, and Tim is now at 0 points of dopamine over the course of 24 hours. And this, what does this mean? What does this mean? This means something like this. Let's say this is a time frame. Let's say this is like days, because my boy Tim isn't gonna last very long in this. And this is like, let's say, whatever. This is him going back to his bad habits. So let's say first day, he's, man, I'm doing good. I'm not going back to his bad habits. 1, 2, 3, and then all of a sudden his body starts craving these things. His brain starts craving these things, and he hasn't done anything to kind of replace these at all. And so his brain is kind of left starving in a way, right? So his brain is kind of left starving, and when he does this switch without doing any sort of replacements to kind of take place with these, he ultimately backslides back to where he was at before. So, and not only that, this is something that could also happen to you guys, is if you decide to kind of cold turkey it and you kind of put your brain in like a starvation mode, it starts to withdraw. Like if you see, and we see this a lot, especially now, which is very sad, is like if you take a phone away from a baby who is used to the stimulation of scrolling and you take it away, I might import a video of it like actually happening because this is a real thing. If you take it away from that child, it starts tweaking out. Like it literally starts tweaking out. Like you just try to kill it, right? Because it's not getting that same sense of dopamine. Same thing if someone's a drug addict and they just randomly cold turkey. Let's say they stop doing Adderall, they stop randomly smoking weed, they stop randomly drinking, they start to what? They start to withdraw. And hold on, my camera's about to die. All right, I had to plug my camera back up. Okay, but like I was saying, someone randomly just stops drinking one day, they stop smoking one day, and they just completely cold turkey it and don't really try to replace it with anything else. They withdraw, and your brain is going to do the same thing. Like with doom scrolling, with eating the junk food, playing the video games, drugs, like this isn't just going to be an overnight change, especially if you do it this way. Because like I said, you're starving your brain with these dopamine points that it was used to. Is going to ultimately withdraw, leading to you going back to the thing that you wanted to kind of get rid of. And ultimately, most of the time, this is going to lead to you binging. So 2x, maybe even 10x what you did before. So other than Tim over here spending, 10 hours on TikTok, he doom scrolls for like 20 hours because he just starved his brain of the dopamine that he was used to. And as he's like, let's say, relapsing, he's like, oh, I'm finally back. Like we see this, and I saw this even in myself when I was in college. And this is a weird example, but it was like, okay, if let's say it was like, oh, I'm done smoking, and for whatever reason I started smoking again, I wouldn't just go back to smoking like, I don't know, one bowl, right? Like I wouldn't go back to just smoking one bowl if I quit randomly like Tim did. No, when I would come back to smoking, since I was like so starved of it for so long, you kind of just, go overboard with it. So other than me doing like one bowl, I would do like 3 to 5. And then this just leads to this cycle. And it's a really, really brutal cycle. But let me switch to what you guys actually came here for. And like I said, I wanted you guys to understand this from like a first principles perspective and really see where I'm going with this so you can get a full gauge and apply this to your life. So let me show you what you can do and how you can basically flip this and start becoming your best self on autopilot. So let me clean this really quick. And I know I said that before I explain this, but I want you guys to understand everything that I'm saying. So you're just gonna have to bear with me. This isn't gonna be some, skibbity toilet 6'7", freaking TikTok videos. Like, I'm not gonna be here like, nah, bro, come on. All right, listen. So, how can Tim go from this loser that does all these terrible things to ultimately becoming his best self? Let's give him some freaking crazy biceps, no chest, big old quads, and some shoes. Because my boy Tim is up now. So I'm gonna explain this, and I'm gonna try to explain this a bit quicker because this video is around about 20 minutes right now. So, like I was saying, Tim is used to doom scrolling. He's used to junk food. He's used to drugs, and let's just do this for this example. So, other than Tim cold turkey in this, and like I said, I'm going to try to run through this a little bit faster. Other than him doom scrolling, other than him doing drugs, and what did I say for this? Doom scrolling, drugs. I don't even remember what I said for that. Let's just say doom scrolling and drugs, because it's going to be applicable to all these other things. I only got 4 minutes left. Jeez, I really gotta lock in. All right, so other than Tim cold turkeying the doom scrolling and the drugs, let's say he replaces doom scrolling with listening to music or watching educational YouTube videos, something like you're doing right now. And other than him doing drugs, let's say he replaces this with going to the gym or going on a run. And it's like, okay, Isaiah, this is a very like straightforward thing. Like, of course, he wants to do these things if he wants to improve himself. But the reason why this is so important is because as he switches these habits out, which is like the whole point of this video, his brain is slowly being trained to no longer desire these things anymore, but to desire these new habits or these new practices that Tim has randomly decided to follow. And over time, it gets put into this flywheel that I explained in the beginning of this video. So let me speed this up because, like I said, my camera is running out of space, and I'm gonna need a little bit more time. So let me switch something really quick. All right, I ran out of storage, but hopefully that's enough because I want you guys to actually get this. So, like I was saying, as Tim is replacing these habits or switching these habits out consciously, mind you, this has to be a conscious switch because he was unconsciously used to doing this. So if you're wanting to make a change, you're gonna have to make a conscious decision. So mind you, this is a conscious switch. So what does this do exactly? Like I said, this is training his brain to desire these more or to associate its dopamine with these better habits, right? So over time, other than Tim going from this to cold turkey and not replacing these, he's still getting dopamine from these newer things. It might not be nearly as much as before or just exactly as many points as before, because I know he said it's about 10 points, Let's say, other than him doom scrolling, he switches to something else and give him like a similar dopamine level. Let's say 8 to 10, and same thing for this one, just for the sake of the example, right? And over time, Tim is training his brain to desire these things. I know I said that a million times. Why you keep repeating yourself? It's because it's important, right? So as he switches this consciously, the beautiful thing about this is over time, remember how I said the clay and the identity kind of analogy in the beginning of this video. Over time, let's say he does this for about 3 months or 3 to 6 months, right? He goes from being a doom scroller that does drugs, that sits in bed all day, that does this, that does that, to becoming a version of himself that unconsciously, after consciously making this shift and engraving it into himself for so long that it becomes unconscious, that now he's the type of person, mind you, I said the type of person that goes to the gym. He's the type of person that doesn't doom scroll. He watches educational YouTube videos. Now he's, tracking his food and eating healthier and X, Y, and Z. Cool. So now these are now his unconscious habits, which what forms into his new identity. New identity, right? right? So now he's completely shifted from the version of himself that he used to be to a version of himself that he never was. Why? Because he switched his habits. And not only did he switch his conscious habits, he switched his unconscious habits, meaning he switched his unconscious desires, meaning that he completely switched his identity. Mind you, he's doing this for 6 months, or let's say he makes a lifetime change because this is the goal. Let's say 3 to 6 months, he solidified it, and now he's done the same thing that I said in the beginning of this video, but just on the other side of the spectrum. Now he's taking his old identity, his old bowl, he smashed it down in a paste or in the clay or like into whatever it may be. He remolded it. And this is him making this conscious decision, which is him remolding it. And then he makes a new bowl. And he puts it in the heating chamber, just at 3 to 6 months. And now he has a brand new bowl or brand new identity. And all of a sudden, now he just unconsciously does these things because he's gone through this process. And all of a sudden, it's second nature for him to go to the gym. It's second nature for him to watch these YouTube videos. It's second nature for him to eat healthy food and X, Y, and Z. And all of a sudden, he's gone from this loser to being freaking jacked and actually happy with himself because, you know, he's getting real dopamine and he's not doing this degenerate stuff. And all of a sudden now he's just the type of person that he used to desire to be, meaning all these things that he knew he was supposed to do but he didn't in the past are what? Automatic. Right? And hopefully this makes sense. I'm pretty sure this does, but just for you guys who are kind of confused, I want you guys to think about this in the context of someone that goes to the gym, right? And I won't use a whiteboard for this because I know this video is really long and you're probably like, Isaiah, you've been talking a lot. But let's say someone like me, I'll use me for the example. I was 90 pounds. You know what? I'm going to use the whiteboard. I love this thing. So a real world example is me because this is the whole reason behind me even being in the spot that I am now. So let's say this is me, and this is to really, really, really just kind of solidify this way of thinking, right? So let's say me, 90 pounds, insecure, and I'll do it this way, video games, big games, bad mindset, diet, bad diet, etc. Right? So I won't write everything on the board because it's a lot, but let's say this is me. This is me when I'm about 15 years old. I was 90 pounds. I was ridiculously insecure. I was depressed and I hated myself and I was ready to end my own life. I got 4 minutes left, so bear with me. All right, so the reason why I was this is because of what? This was my identity. This is who I was, right? How was this formed? From these habits, meaning these unconscious habits, unconscious habits and conscious habits, whatever it may be, really made me who I was, which led me to being here, right? Like I've been explaining in this whole video, you should know what this means by now, right? I shouldn't have to explain the whole, philosophy behind it or the science behind it or the math behind it, whatever you want to call it, right? The reason why I'm here is because of my identity, and why my identity? Because of my habits, and my habits can lead to my thinking process, my eating habits, the way that I view myself, the things that I got my dopamine from, my mindset, whatever it may be. All of this falls in this category, right? So how the heck did I go from here to where I'm at now to where I'm basically the man that I've always wanted to be? I'm 20 years old. I'm married. I have my dream physique. I'm able to help people. Confident. etc. Right? I'm not trying to toot my own horn. This is just reality, so I don't want to go into the whole list of. But this is a drastic change. How did this drastic change happen, Isaiah? It's because I solidified different habits that ultimately led me to a different identity that led me to this point, right? And I'm not gonna write all of this on the board, but the only way that I was able to go from here to here is I made the conscious decision to change these habits to ultimately change my identity. So then I went from being a skinny, insecure kid to becoming the type of person, mind you, this is a process, the type of person that shows up to the gym, right? I told you guys I wasn't gonna draw anymore. The type of person that goes to the gym. Okay, cool. And like I said, this is a slow process. So I became the type of person that goes to the gym. Through that, I became the type of person that tracks his food, which means I became the type of person that knew how to gain more weight, knew how to pack on more size, ultimately leading to me gaining more weight, and then me training, and then ultimately dialing a new mindset to where I got different dopamine from, better habits, X, Y, and Z. And basically, what I'm trying to say without me freaking talking you guys' ears off for too much longer is that my habits form my new identity, and I became the type of person that does things differently. And because I did these things differently, it made a completely new identity. So I went from being 90 pounds, skinny, insecure, hating myself, to becoming the version of myself that I've always wanted to be, and obviously still moving to improve because there's always room to improve. So this is how this cycle is created, and that's how you can break it, how you can identify it, and how you can start a new one that's actually going to yield you some sort of benefit. So I know that was a lot. I know I've been talking for a long time and I'm having like camera issues. I'm hoping it doesn't shut down, but I hope you guys were able to understand that, right? That's basically how you're going to become the best version of yourself on autopilot, is to one, just solidify these unconscious habits, and then ultimately you just become that version of yourself. You automatically do the things that that version of you will do, right? To put it all in one sentence, that's what it means. All right, so hope you guys were able to understand what I said in this video the whole way through. If you've watched this, congrats. You have the ability to sit down and focus on something, meaning that one, you're already on the path of becoming your best version of yourself, or two, you're taking it seriously enough to sit down and watch a video that isn't high edits, isn't high, freaking all this crazy stuff going on, and keep your attention. You actually watch this. So congrats, right? If you're watching this, I want you to know I'm an online fitness coach. That's what I actually do. I love making these videos to kind of share my mindset and my perspective, but I work with skinny guys specifically, meaning if you're a skinny guy and you're tired of struggling, you're tired of going to the gym and not seeing any progress, you're tired of spinning your wheels, X, Y, and Z, and you want to work with me one-on-one to actually achieve the physique that you want, pack on 20 pounds, whatever it may be, just click the link below to book a call with me. And if not, go to my Instagram and you can see all the testimonials. It's Isaiah Yee. It's the same thing that you see on here. So you can see proof and just the fact that I actually get my guys results. But anyway, love you guys. Jesus loves you too. And I hope you like this video because I had so much fun making it. And I'll see you guys in the next
one. The first step that changed everything for me was deciding or making a decision over relying only on motivation, right? Because change started the moment that I stopped waiting to feel motivated, and the moment that I decided to make a decision to become a new person or a new man, right? And the reason why this is so important and why I have it at number one is because this is the biggest thing that's going to allow you to apply these other 7 steps, right? Because if you're in a spot to where you're kind of just sitting there waiting on motivation, waiting on something that's never going to come, and you're waiting for this perfect moment that's never going to happen, your action it's never going to happen, right? You're never going to actually end up taking the action that you need to become the version of you that you want to be, right? You're just going to be the type of person that says, "Oh, wait till New Year's, wait until I lock in," or when I feel it, then I'm going to actually go to the gym, or I'm actually going to start my journey, whatever it may be, right? All of these excuses, waiting on something that's never going to come, waiting for the motivation that's always going to fade instantly, is going to lead to you not taking any action at all, right? But the moment that you pre-decide that you're going to step into this version of you that you want to be, and you really just kind of detach your emotions from it, is a moment to where everything's going to change, because you're going to go from being this person that's waiting for the New Year's, waiting for him to feel it, waiting to, have some magic thing happen for him to spring into action, to being the person that's like, you know what, I don't care how I feel, right? I don't care if things aren't perfect, and I don't care if perfect, and I don't care if I have no motivation, right? All of these things get thrown out of the window. And because of that, you're able to show up for yourself. And not only that, compared to this version of you that's leaning on his excuses and you just always finding reasons to quit, even if he does end up starting, right? He's always going to end up in this kind of roller coaster to where he's starting, stopping, starting, stopping. But the moment that you pre-decide that you're stepping into this new version of yourself is the moment to where you can consistently grow over time. And now, obviously, there isn't going to be like a reality to where things are just going to be smooth. Like, you're probably going to get hurt. You're probably going to, have something come up in your life and you're going to have these little roadblocks in a way. But the biggest thing is, like, over time, you're going to be consistently making more progress compared to someone who's lacking the discipline and really only leaning on motivation, right? He's going to be starting and stopping over and over again. And then eventually he's going to go through this cycle so many times to where he's making progress and then losing it all, making progress and then losing it all, until he gets to a point to where he just quits and then he makes no progress at all, right? And then he's just stuck. He's stuck in the same spot. And if anything is worse than if he would have never started to begin with, because he put in all this effort and all this time to see absolutely nothing. Versus, on the other hand, when someone pre-decides or when you pre-decide that you're going to step into this version of you and you're going to show up for yourself no matter what, even if you do have roadblocks on the way, you're going to consistently be gaining, right? And if both of these guys spent the exact same amount of time going after the same goal, which is, let's say, like gain 20 pounds or dial in with the consistency, whatever it may be, right? This person spent 90 days being on a roller coaster because he was leaning on motivation and was partially showing up for himself, and then ended up wasting 90 days being even more demotivated and seeing nothing out of it, compared to this guy who didn't lean on motivation, didn't, have this thought in his mind where it's like, okay, if things are perfect, then I'm going to. No, he's just going to. So he actually got the result. And because of this, is going to cause a feedback loop to where he's going to associate continuously showing up for himself with the result, and then so on and so forth. And he's going to continue to make progress over and over and over and over time, right? Over a time period. Versus this dude right here, little Timmy, who's trying to, just make excuses or wait for the perfect moment. He's not going to end up ever actually making any progress long term, and he's just going to waste his time, like I said. Second step is choosing to progressively overload versus program. And this goes hand in hand with what I was saying before, because if you choose to program hop versus progressively overloading or training the way you're supposed to be training and looking for the best option or the best magic workout plan over consistency, you're once again sort of leaning on motivation rather than leaning on deciding on who you're going to be. And let me explain. So program hopping is basically, if you were to find a program online or a workout plan or whatever it may be, and let's say you have 3-4 options, right? So let's say this is a bro split. Let's say this is PPO. Let's say this is an Arnold split. And then let's say this is an upper lower split, right? So you can be one of two people. You can be the person that chooses to pick one workout for 1 week and then another workout for 2 weeks, or another workout plan for 2 weeks, and then switch over to this one after this second week, right? And then you're like, okay, I don't really like that one, so let me go back to this workout plan. And then let me go back to this one. And then, maybe I should try this. And then you have this cycle over like a span of 6 weeks in this example, to where you're hopping from program to program, right? And the reason why this is bad, or the reason why this is going to lead to you not making nearly as much progress as you should be making, is because you are unconsciously trying to pick something that's going to be perfect, or something that's going to be the most optimal, or something that's going to get you the best results in the least amount of time possible, right? And while that isn't inherently wrong to want to progress, you continuously hopping from split to split to split, or from program to program to program, because you're not seeing the result that you want in such a small amount of time, you're robbing yourself from progressively overloading, right? And all progressively overloading is just like sticking to the same movements and progressively making them more difficult over time, whether that's with weight or with rep ranges, right? And the reason why this makes it so difficult is because 1 week you can have a split to where you do one exercise and then you do another exercise and then you do another one. Let's just say you do, like, for the sake of example, let's just say you do 5. Okay, cool. Now, the problem with this is if you continuously hop from program to program, you have no way to accurately gauge your progression. So you're just going to be in the gym, kind of just trying this, trying that, trying this, trying that, trying this, trying that. And then ultimately, you're just going to be hopping from program to program so much that you make little to even in some cases no progress at all, right? And the most simple way to fix this is to just stick to one, right? If you want to gain, if you want to make as much progress as possible, stick to one split for an extended amount of time. So whether that looks like sticking to a split for 3 weeks, or not 3 weeks, 12 weeks, or 16 weeks, whatever it may be, just stick to it long term. So now you have data from weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of training the same way. So you're able to accurately gauge how much you're progressing, right? And what you need to progress on X, Y, and Z. And you doing this is going to allow you to escape out of this kind of up and down rat race that you can kind of compare it to in the gym, to, you know, you just progressing linearly over time, right? Because you're sticking to one plan and you're forcing yourself to get better and working on the small things that you need to work on in order to continuously progress, rather than just seeing, oh, this influencer did this, and then, oh, I saw this on TikTok, I saw this on Instagram, I saw this here, I saw this there, maybe I should try this, try that. And then before you know it, you're going to be in the same spot to where you're making little to no progress, and then your morale is going to be so low that you end up quitting. Now, on to the third step that allowed me to go from this to this, and that's just feeding the machine, or just feeding your body. And the biggest thing that you need to understand is that you cannot build a physique, you cannot build the physique that you want, eat in the same way that has kept you stuck on this side of the transformation spectrum, right? And this is something that's so obvious, but a lot of you guys just seem to not really grasp just how important this is, right? Because you can train as much as you want, you can train as hard as you want, you can go to the gym, try to progressively overload for a short amount of time, try to, you know, be consistent, do cardio, whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, if you're eating freaking 2,000 calories and your maintenance level, let's say for this example, is 2.1K, you're not going to make any progress. If anything, you're going to make a little amount of progress over time and then just plateau at the very best, right? And when it comes to eating, I feel like some of you guys don't understand just how simple it is, right? So let me just break it down. So, like I said, let's say you have a maintenance level, right? Which you do. Everyone has a maintenance level unless you're like not human. And let's say you're what, like 5'10", and you're 130 pounds. Okay, cool. Now let's just say for the sake of this example, your maintenance level is like 2.7K. And all this means is that your maintenance level, or the amount of calories that you need to eat to maintain this amount of weight, is 2.7K calories, right? So what does that mean, Isaiah? It literally just means you have to eat over your maintenance level in order to pack on more size. So what that looks like is eating 3 to maybe even 500 calories over this maintenance in order for you to gain, let's say, like half a pound a week. And then you rinse and repeat this cycle over and over again until you ultimately like get to the desired weight that you want to get to, right? So let's just say like up 20 pounds. And this takes a long amount of time. Like this takes a while, right? But the biggest thing that you guys do is you don't do this. Like you just say, oh, you know what? I'm just going to continue eating the way that I want to eat, right? I'm going to lift weights and then I'm going to get bigger than what I am now. But, you know, I'm just going to continue eating like a rabbit, right? So this is what most of you guys do. A lot of you guys don't track, and you realistically just don't eat. And if you do eat, it's not enough. Okay. And The biggest thing that I struggled with in the beginning of my journey is I felt like I was eating enough, right? I felt like I was eating a lot of food because I was eating a lot of volume, right? And what's volume is literally just like the amount of food, right? So let's say this is a huge plate, it's a lot of volume, and then small amount of volume, right? Like you guys are freaking 20, you should know this, right? But the reason why, like I said, I felt like I was eating enough was because I was eating a lot of volume, but I wasn't tracking my food, right? And so because I felt like I was eating a lot, and I was realistically just wasn't eating enough calories, I got caught in this loop of, force feeding myself and then ultimately hitting a plateau and then just dealing with the consistent frustration of eating, and then just for some reason not seeing the scale move, right? Say that's the scale. And this is the same for like a very long amount of time, right? So like I used to be stuck at the same weight for like months and months on end. And this is super frustrating, especially when you're taking the journey seriously and you don't know why you can't gain or why you're not gaining. And then ultimately you feel like you just can't or you're stuck. And then this can just lead to you kind of giving up on your journey. But simplest way to fix this, like I said, is to literally just track your food, right? So if you were eating, in my example, like I was eating a ton of volume. I was eating a lot of food, but I realized, let's say I was eating only around like 2K calories with like this sheer amount of volume, right? This simple thing is going to save you so much frustration because now you're going to understand, okay, I'm not gaining because I'm eating at this amount per day. So maybe let me just up this amount to, let's say, 2.3. And then if that doesn't work, then okay, let's up it to 2.7. Okay, cool. We're gaining a little bit. We plateau. Okay, let's up it to 3K and so on and so forth. And then this is going to save a lot of you guys from this constant cycle of frustration to where you eat and then you see nothing and then you eat and then you still see nothing and then you're completely plateaued in your weight and then your lifts plateau too, and then you're just left being frustrated. You're left in this cycle of frustration, right? So simplest thing is just understanding how to track your food, what to eat, how much to eat, and then just doing that over a long period of time. Now on to the fourth step, and this is ridiculously important. Rewiring your inner dialogue is going to be one of the biggest things that you're going to have to do with this transformation, right? Rewiring my inner dialogue was one of the biggest things that had the biggest impact in this transformation so far. And that's because you're never going to build confidence in yourself with that same voice that tore you down, right? And I've made videos like this in the past, but let's say this is you in the box, okay? And let's say this is before your transformation. Now, before your transformation, you guys know, because you're experiencing this right now, you hear these comments from outside people, right? Like you hear, oh, you're anorexic, you're so skinny, you're so small. Oh, look how small your wrists are. Little things like that, like little things that get to you. And then you're also dealing with your internal conflicts as well. And then you hear more. Let's say you go to a pool, go to a beach, people make comments. You see people around you, they're in shape, they're confident in themselves, and then you're just looking at yourself like, oh, I'm not, I'm still stuck, I'm still this, I'm still that. So you have all these outside voices, right? And now inherently these don't really matter, but they do when you allow them to kind of infiltrate your box, right? So like I said, these are your thoughts, right? You're beforehand or before this transformation, you're telling yourself, I'm stuck, I can't do it, I'm skinny, I'm small, I hate myself, you know, just all these negative things, right? And then you're also hearing all these negative things on the outside as well. And then before you know it, it becomes like an echo chamber of just degrading thoughts, like negative thoughts. And then this is how self-hatred really comes and takes over, because you're constantly thinking this on a consistent basis. And pairing this alongside not taking any action is literally the recipe to hating yourself long term, right? And some of you guys might be in this spot right now. And the biggest thing is obviously taking the action. But once you take the action, understanding that this in itself is going to break you out of this box as long as you do it the right way. And then you're able to kind of rewire the way that you think. And the reason why this is so important is because if you allow yourself to stay stuck in this box and you never break out of it, you never take action, and you just continuously tell yourself you're not going to change, you can't change, it's impossible, I've tried, but, and then just having all these limiting beliefs, all these negative thoughts, just compound and compound and compound. One, you're obviously going to degrade mentally, right? Like your mental health is going to be on huge decline because you're only thinking negatively and you only view yourself in a negative sense. And this is going to affect literally every single area of your life, your friendship, your relationships, what you do on the outside, how you carry yourself, right? How people view you, how people respect you, and the fact that people don't respect you, like X, Y, and Z. Like you're going to have to deal with all of these things. This isn't just about the gym, you know, like you're going to have to deal with this, and then this is just going to compound more and more and more, and then before you know it, your head is just full of negative thoughts. And this is how you kind of lead to, you know, the depression and like this even like suicidal kind of ideology, right? Or just like really like leads you to like suicide attempts, which, you know, happened to me. But like I was saying before, the reason why this is so important for you to break out of is because one, you need to have some sort of change in your thought process that leads you to taking some sort of action, right? Even if it's something small, like, man, I'm sick of this, I'm capable of making a change. And then you jump into action, so you're no longer in a no action state. And then as you're continuously progressing in this, I guess we could say, different box, right? You're improving yourself slowly, obviously, which is going to have a pretty significant impact in itself. But before you know it, you're going to take action, then you're going to see the progress, and then you're going to slowly start seeing yourself a bit differently, showing up for yourself a bit more, respecting yourself a bit more, and so on and so forth. And then before you know it, it's kind of this upward spiral of you actually being happy with the man that you see in the mirror, right? And that all starts with just action, right? But these are like completely polar opposite, because if you allow yourself to stay on this side of things, then you're only going to spiral down more and more and more. You're only going to respect yourself less and less and less. And you're only going to, you know, be able to take so much over time until you ultimately crack in some unfortunate situation. But when you're able to take action and break yourself out of this box and, you know, get yourself out of this echo chamber of degrading thoughts and, you know, rewire the way that you view yourself or the way that you think, then you're going to be capable to take more action. And then it's just going to be like a flywheel of um, continuous action, feedback loop, seeing the result, being happier with yourself, having more positive thoughts, and so on and so forth. So it's like a positive domino effect, right? And then you tip this domino over, and then it's going to help every other area of your life, so on and so forth. Cool. On to the fifth step. And that's choosing brotherhood over isolation, or friendship over isolation, whichever one you want to call it. And the reason why this is so important is because I felt like I had to suffer alone, or I felt like I had to deal with this on my own or figure everything out on my own. But it turns out that with the right circle, it could actually make you a dangerous amount of progress, right? And this is so easy to overlook. And with this one, I really won't have to draw anything because it's really easy to communicate. If you go down a path to where you're going down unpaved territory, like you've never made this transformation before, you don't really know what you're doing, you don't really know how to do it, you know, like you're trying and this is new, this is semi uncomfortable, and you're trying to embrace this new version of yourself while still shedding this old version of yourself that you hate. And you know, it's a pretty difficult process, and it could be kind of mentally draining, especially not knowing what to do. Now, obviously, if you're watching this, you're getting a bit more direction because I'm literally listing everything out. But the biggest thing that helped me with my journey overall was going to other people for help, right? Like when I first started going to the gym, I had no idea what I was doing. Like I said, I was not doing pretty much any of this. I was looking up videos on Google, or not even videos, images on Google, with quote unquote best workouts. Like I didn't know what progressively overloading was. I was kind of relying on motivation for a bit, and I wasn't doing any of the things that I was telling you guys to do or telling you guys to do in this video now. And it just led to me being frustrated and dealing with a bit of demotivation because I saw these people around me making the progress while I just kind of stayed the same. But when I started going to people for help, like for example, one of my first ever, I guess we could say, mentors or gym bros was a guy named Logan. And Logan was significantly bigger than me at the time. Obviously, like I'm 100 pounds soaking wet at the time. This guy was squatting or deadlifting like 405, squatting 315. And I was like, oh man, this dude's freaking crazy strong, right? But the reason why it's so important for you to understand how this is going to benefit you is because I want you guys to think about it like this, right? If I were to continue to, go down this path through trial and error, right? Who knows how long it would have took? Trial, error, 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 still not making progress, still not making progress, still not making progress, blah, 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 right? And obviously people have gone through this already. So what sense would it make for me to go through trial and error for years, like no joke, years, when I could just learn from someone else who's already gone through this trial and error and can collapse this amount of time that it would take for me to get to the same result and learn from them and listen to them, right? And this is exactly what you guys are doing if you actually apply this information from this video. But if you're not getting help from someone, whether it's from me, whether it's from someone in your gym, whatever it may be, blah, 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 you're only extending the amount of time that it's going to take you to hit the result. And there's no benefit of doing this, right? Like some people are super prideful and they're like, oh, I don't like asking for help. I don't want anybody telling me what to do. And then they just end up wasting months or even years out of their life, like I said. But if you're able to find a group of people, find friends, whoever it may be, people who are ahead of you and learn from them, tell them what you're struggling with, and just surround yourself with people who are actively trying to achieve the same thing that you are, is going to push you, and also is going to, like I said, collapse the amount of time that it's going to take you to figure this out and figure out what works best for you in the process. So really simple. Literally just find people that are on the exact same path that you're on, or people who have already achieved the thing that you want to achieve, and learn from them. Now, 6th step, and this is something that's huge, right? Building up yourself for respect in yourself and not vanity, right? And you guys might ask me, like, Isaiah, what the heck are you talking about, right? But in reality, you guys need to base this journey on something that means something, right? Like you're respecting yourself, for example. And the reason why I put this at number 6 is because I know that it can be really easy to, want to progress to get back at people, right? Or like wanting to progress to prove them wrong, to get back at your ex, to get girls, to, be scary, like all these really dumb reasons, like could motivate you for, X amount of time. But the sad part about this journey is if you're only basing your motivation, if you're only showing up for yourself for these, I guess we could say, vainful reasons, then once you do achieve it, then you're just going to kind of lose a spark, make a ton of progress, and then realize, man, you know, I really just wanted to, prove my ex wrong, get big so people couldn't talk about me, or like scare people, whatever it may be, like whatever dumb reason, or like, oh, get attention from a girl. This is something that's huge, right? Let's say like the girl example, right? So you're working out all this time, improving yourself. Oh, I want a girlfriend. I want a girlfriend so bad. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Like, cool. You want a girlfriend. Let's say 9 months down the line, you get a girlfriend. Now, your only reason to keep going has arrived, right? Like, okay, you've achieved your goal. And what's going to happen? You're going to get comfortable, and then before you know it, you're going to be right where you started, right? And you might say, no, Isaiah, this is a crazy exaggeration. But no, I've seen this with my own eyes, like with people that I've known personally. They put all of these vanities on their list of whys, and the moment that they get it, they completely fall off, right? And the sad part about this, like the girlfriend example, is this woman is going to be with you because, or this woman is attracted to you, or came up to you or introduced herself into your life because of this peaked version of you. Now, if you allow yourself to continuously fall off over and over again, before you know it, you're going to be back at the same spot, if not worse. And then what's going to happen then? Right? You're going to be out of shape. You're going to hate yourself again. And then we're back to square one, right? We're back to being where we started. And obviously, we don't want to be there. So, like I said, base this journey on something that's meaningful. Like, put your why into something that's meaningful, something that's not just vanity, right? Like, gaining respect for yourself, like being an inspiration to those around you, being able to help those around you, like being, a version of you that you wish you had when you were younger, like actual good reasons, right? Don't base it off of like, oh, I want to get a girl, or I don't want these people to say these things about me. Because dude, if you apply these steps, you're 100% going to transform, 1,000%. But the moment that you get there and you realize that you kind of made this all about the wrong reason, is going to be the moment to where you're just going to have the realization of where you're like, man, I really don't even respect myself, right? Like I did all this for someone else. And that's just a terrible feeling, right? And that's why I put it at number 6. Now, number 7, right? And this is for me personally. Obviously, you guys can do what you want, but having God at the center of your life, or like at the center of really everything. And this is kind of self-explanatory, but when you're, like I said, putting all of this importance on vanities, or all this importance on just your physique alone, is really easy to kind of neglect the other areas of your life. It's easy to, lock in with the gym, quote unquote, and just like ignore everything else, right? But the beauty about, having faith, or putting um God in the center of your life, really, is that you force yourself to improve in other areas, right? Like you force yourself to improve in other areas, like I said, right? So not only did I build my body, but like you build your character, you build like your soul. Obviously, your faith is going to grow. And the reason why this is so important is because, like I said beforehand, it's going to be a domino effect, right? Like this transformation isn't just about muscle, and it's never really been about muscle. This is a transformation of yourself completely. Like, this is an ascension, right? Like, you don't just go to the gym just to get big. Like, you don't go to the gym just to have muscles. You go to the gym to respect yourself, right? And that self-respect allows you to show up for yourself in, let's say, your work life or your business, right? And then that confidence that you gain through the gym is going to translate in your relationships, right? And so on and so forth. And that's why I kind of put this in here, is just to kind of solidify this idea that, this, while I may have just told you guys like how to transform physically, this isn't the end all be all. This is literally just the first step into becoming the best man that you can possibly be. And in my life, becoming the best man that God wants me to be, right? So that's really it. Like, those are the 7 steps that took me from this to this. And now, steroid accusations, which is pretty cool. But yeah, that's it. So, make sure to apply these. Shoot me a text on Instagram, link in my description. If you want more one-on-one help, or just book a call with me through this video. And I have a free training right here. I'll put it at the end of this video. It's an hour long, telling you everything in more of an in-depth kind of way. But love you guys. Jesus loved you too. And talk to you next time. Click this video because you're skinny, you may be in your 20s, and you're trying to achieve your dream physique, or you're trying to make progress, but for whatever reason, you just seem to not be able to either, one, stay consistent, stick to it for long enough to see any results, or if you do see any results, you kind of slide back to what you were used to doing, and then ending up right in the same spot over and over and over again. And the reason why this is the case is it isn't because your metabolism is fighting you back. It isn't because your genetics makes it impossible for you to improve physically. It isn't because of some magic wall that's up that is just forcing you to stop doing the things that you need to do in order to get there. And you might be asking yourself, then what is it? And I'm going to tell you that in just a second. So you got to watch this video, because I know it's not a lot going on. It's not a lot to, quench your dopamine receptors. But if you watch this, I guarantee it could definitely get you moving in the right direction if you actually apply it. So the reason why a lot of you guys are stuck in the exact same spot is, like I said, it's not because you have a problem with your genetics. It's not because you have a problem with your consistency. And it's not because it's just impossible or it's not meant for you. Because anybody on this world can get into better shape as long as they're, one, physically capable of moving their bodies, and two, they stick to it for long enough. So why am I still stuck? Why am I still skinny? And that's because of your belief system. And you might think like, oh, my belief system, cool, I'm going to click off this video because it doesn't apply to me. But if you continue watching, you're going to see just how much this actually applies to you and why it's been keeping you stuck. The reason why this is because a lot of you guys have forced yourself into this state of thinking or systems of belief onto yourself without you even realizing it. And that's the reason why you keep continuously hitting that brick wall over and over and over again. And this is something, some random program online isn't going to fix. This is something that, a new workout split isn't going to magically take care of. Because when it comes down to it, if you have a set of beliefs that are holding you back and you unconsciously revert to them over and over and over again, it doesn't matter if you have the best program, you're always going to sabotage yourself. You're always going to find some way to stop being consistent, find some way to stop doing what you need to do, and find some way to make some sort of excuse to just revert back to what, like I said, you believe in. And you might be asking, well, Isaiah, what the heck are these beliefs? And I could just list some of them out now. And these are some that you could probably be using in your own life right now if you're still stuck. And those beliefs could be something like, my genetics are holding me back. My genetics are the reason why I'm skinny. My job is too hard. My job keeps me too busy. It's impossible for me to be consistent with my job. It's impossible for me to go to the gym and be consistent while having a girlfriend. It's impossible for me to do X, Y, and Z. Or I can't do it because of my schedule. I can't do it because of whatever it may be, right? The biggest thing is just like genetics and like believing that, oh, no matter how much I try, I can't change. Like these are really, really small, but the reason why they have such a huge impact is because it's not the conscious thoughts that are kind of the dangers of this thing. The dangers of this thing is that when you think these, you unconsciously train yourself to act in a way to prove that these beliefs are true, right? Like it's like the cognitive bias. Like if you're constantly telling yourself that I can't change because of my genetics, even if you're consciously trying to, go to the gym and do this and do that, if you unconsciously truly believe that, you're always going to find a way to stay stuck in the exact same boat. And not only that, this is going to set up a brick wall that you're constantly going to be hitting, sure. But if you just pause for a second and really think, if I want to build the best physique that I possibly can, if I want to be the best man that I possibly can be, if I want to be the most confident version of myself possible, how, in a logical world, like, how can I do that if I truly believe the opposite of myself, right? Like if I had to tell you to run a mile and you genuinely believe that your legs don't work, there's no David Goggins video out there that's going to force you to run that mile, right? Because you genuinely believe, oh, my legs don't work, so I'm not going to run a mile, right? And that might be a crazy example. So let me bring it up a little bit. Like if you're trying to fix your relationship with your girlfriend, like you guys got into an argument or something like that, and you genuinely believe that this person, you hate this person and they're never going to change, and I don't know, like they're ugly or something, like you genuinely believing these things are going to make you act as if they're true, and your unconscious mind is going to force you to continue to act in a way to prove this thought or to prove this belief system, right? And these are crazy examples, but the whole point that I'm trying to get across to you guys is if you believe these things that you continuously tell yourself over and over and over again, you're setting yourself up to fail. You're setting yourself up to prove yourself right. And this is only going to hold you back. Like I've been saying this whole time. You might ask me, like, well, how can I change this? Like, how can I flip my belief system? How can I unconsciously train myself to think in a way that's going to push me forward and then have my actions proving that? Because that's something as well. Like, I'm not telling you guys to write down, I'm going to have my dream physique and then do absolutely nothing about it. No, I'm not telling you guys that at all. And I'm not telling you guys that if you just shift your thinking, everything's just going to be magical and you're not going to struggle at all. Like, this takes time and it takes effort to actually apply it, but it's worth it. Because if you go to the gym, and this is the last example that I use because I've used a few of them. If you go to the gym with the mindset of, this sucks, this hurts, I don't want to do it, I don't like going to the gym, just these 4 things. And if you think these things and you genuinely believe them unconsciously, every time you go to the gym, you're gonna find some way to sabotage your workout. You're gonna find some way to not push hard enough. You're gonna find some way or some reason to not be consistent, and you're always gonna find something negative to pull out of the workout. Oh, I took my pre-workout, I'm too itchy. Oh, I can barely breathe. Oh, my heart's beating really fast. Oh, this is uncomfortable. This hurt. Like, just little things like that. And it may seem like it's something so small and that doesn't matter, but it does matter, because if you flip that, you're like, I love going to the gym. I enjoy just showing up day to day. I enjoy just working out and pushing as hard as I possibly can. You can go through the exact same thing, but because you believe these things, you're unconsciously going to be trying to prove them whether you realize it or not. Right? If you take the same pre and you're like, oh, this pre-workout is really hitting hard today, I'm liking it. Like, I can feel my skin itching. Like, oh, my heart's beating really fast. I'm going hard. I'm liking this, right? It's like these little things that you can do could seem like it's something so small, but these are the real needle movers. Because when you can put yourself in a state of mind to where you genuinely enjoy every single part of this journey, the man who enjoys walking walks further than someone that's just going on a walk with a set goal in mind, right? And it's the same principle here. You're either going to be on the side to where you're consistently sabotaging yourself, or being on the side to where you're consistently proving to yourself. So it's up to you. What are you going to do, right? And now let me go back to what I was saying before. The way that you change this is simply by writing out all of your limiting beliefs. Literally write them out. Like, what do you think? Like what are you thinking currently that's limiting you? And I can list out a couple of things from my past before I started my journey, and here's just a couple of them so you guys can get a gauge of exactly what I'm talking about. Like, I thought my genetics were the reason why I was skinny. I thought my genetics were going to be the reason why I stayed skinny. I thought no matter how much I ate, I could never gain weight. I thought I would never be able to gain muscle. I thought I would always be the same version of me, and so on and so forth. So what you need to do is you need to write out all of these limiting beliefs that you have and flip them. So with me, it's like, oh, my genetics are the reason why I'm going to stay skinny. It could be something like, my genetics play absolutely no role in me making this change. Or can flip it to even being more positive. Like, my genetics are going to be the reason why I'm able to make more progress than if I had a different set of genetics, right? Or if I'm skinny, I can be like, oh, well, my genetics are going to allow me to stay lean while packing on more muscle. So I'm going to hit this goal that I have. I'm going to look this certain way in a shorter amount of time than if I was fat. Or just like shortening these things, or just flipping these things in a way to where it's positive. It's a reinforcing belief rather than a limiting belief. And you can do this for every single limiting belief that you have. And the moment that you can start telling yourself something like, here's another example. Oh, I hate going to the gym. You can flip that to, I love going to the gym. Literally write these down and say them out loud, and then reinforce these beliefs with your actions, right? And it's going to take time, like I said, but If you can flip, I hate the gym, to I love the gym, flip, I don't want to work out, to I enjoy working out, and then you prove that over a long enough time period, those beliefs are going to prove themselves true through your actions, and then the results are obviously going to speak for themselves, right? And this is the most simple way that I can put it. And this is something that clicked in my mind in a different area of my life. With me coaching, like I had to switch out some of these limiting beliefs, and that's why I felt so pulled to tell you guys about it, is because I applied this in a different area of my life, and it impacted me almost instantly, right? And this is something that you can apply to every single area of your life. Like I'm obviously talking about the gym, but you can apply this to your relationships, your job, X, Y, and Z. But that's it, man. Like the moment that you can actually take hold of these limiting beliefs and then flip them so they serve you, and then you prove these beliefs through your actions, it's like a cheat code, man. It's literally like a cheat code, because the moment that you can train your unconscious mind or your subconscious mind, I don't know if I've been saying unconscious or subconscious. You guys get what I'm saying. Your subconscious mind to propel you forward, and it becomes almost second nature. That's when you're gonna make so much more progress. Forget a magic program. Forget, oh, I follow these steps. Get the beliefs right. Right? I always talk about stepping into the right identity. Step into that version of you that has the thing that you want. And that doesn't just mean what they do, it's also what they believe and how they think, and over, all these things. It's not just about, oh, let me go to the gym for a week and then I'm magic. Like, no, it's going to take a long time. The only way that you're going to be able to stay in this for a long enough time is if you program yourself to become someone who enjoys the process, thus doing the process over and over and over and over again for a long enough time in order to see that result. But I love you guys. Jesus loves you too. And if you want help, DM me on Instagram. I train skinny guys to achieve their dream physiques through the system that I teach. So DM me on Instagram if you want, or don't. It doesn't really matter to me. Talk to you guys another time, and love you guys. So before we start, this isn't going to be one of those videos where it's going to be a bunch of background music, a bunch of, stuff grabbing your attention. So if you're actually ready to make some progress, full screen this video, get a pen and paper out if you haven't been making the results, or if you haven't been getting the results that you want, because this is going to help you out a ton. So, like I said, not going to waste any more time. This is going to be your ultimate nutrition guide, specifically for you skinny guys out there trying to pack on more mass. So if you're struggling to gain muscle, this video is going to be the breakdown for everything that you need to know about nutrition, so you can finally start seeing some real progress. And following these principles allowed me to pack on over 60 pounds, closer to, I'd say 70, 80-ish pounds over time, starting around 90 pounds to being where I'm at now. And the biggest problem that you guys think is that you eat a lot, but you still can't gain weight. But the truth is, you're either not eating enough, not eating the right foods, or not structuring your meals correctly. But by the end of this video, you have a step-by-step game plan that will guarantee muscle growth. Let's just get straight into it. Why you're not gaining muscle. But before we fix your diet, let's break down why most skinny guys stay skinny. Number one, you're eating based on hunger instead of a meal plan. Your body isn't going to naturally crave more food if you're only eating when you're hungry. You're never going to hit your calorie goal eating like that. But the solution to that is having a structured eating schedule and treating it like you treat training. And what I mean when I say this is that a lot of you guys are eating a lot, but you're only eating to what you're used to eating. And you're only eating when you're hungry, and you wonder why you're not ever able to actually pack on more size. Number two, you're guessing your calorie intake. If you're not tracking your food, you have no idea if you're actually in a surplus. But the solution to this is just to start logging your meals using an app. You can use MyFitnessPal, or you can just use a notes doc at the end of the day. And number three, you're eating low calorie foods that fill you up way too fast. Chicken breasts, egg whites, and veggies are great, but if you have a high metabolism, they won't get you to your goal. But the solution to this is eating high calorie, nutrient dense food that will allow you to eat more without feeling stuffed. The only way to guarantee muscle growth is to be in a caloric surplus, and all that is just eating more than your body burns. And the way that you're going to calculate this And the way that you're going to do this is with these few steps. First step is you're going to calculate your maintenance calories. And the way that you're going to do this is you're going to input your body weight into, as we said before, an app like MyFitnessPal. You're going to input your body weight, your activity level, and your height. And this is going to give you a ballpark for your maintenance calories. Now, the thing that you want to do is you want to eat at this maintenance level for, I'd say, 1 to 2 weeks. And if you don't gain any weight, then what you're going to do is you're going to up the calories by 300 to 500 until you're gaining at least half a pound to a pound gained every single week. Now, step 3 is just going to be your macro breakdown. And pretty much what this is your protein, your carbs, and your fats. What you should be eating is like 0.8. I really would say 1 gram to 2 grams per pound of body weight, but at the absolute minimum, you should be doing 0.8 grams per pound of body weight. And pretty much what protein does is going to help you with your muscle repair and overall growth, because without you actually recovering or repairing those muscles, then you're never going to make any progress at all. And then when it comes to your carbs, you should be eating 2 to 3 grams per pound of body weight. And all carbs is going to be your main fuel source for your training and your recovery. Once again, also playing a huge role in your recovery. But if you're not fueled up the right way, then your training is going to be lacking. And then fats, you should be doing a bit lower fats than carbs and protein. And a good ballpark for this is like half per pound of body weight. And this is going to help with just your hormonal support and just your overall health. And an example of this is, let's say this guy's 150 pounds and he's trying to put on some muscle. The way that we can start this is by having him eat around 3,000 calories per day, a minimum of 150 to, let's say, around 200 grams of protein. And then his carbs can be a bit higher, and we're going to keep his fats pretty low. And the thing is, like I said before, this could be a ballpark. So let's say this guy eats these macros for 3 weeks and he only gains 0.5 pounds, right? And depending on this guy's height and how much fat he's willing to put on, you can take it the slow route for sure. But let's say this guy wanted to be gaining, a pound a week and speed it up a little more. The way that he would go about this is he would up these calories by 2, 3, 4, 500 until he was linearly gaining 1 pound every single week. And let's say his goal was that, and he would do nothing more. And once he started to plateau with his weight, or if he started to plateau with his weight, let's say he gets to like 165, 170, he's going to be eating at these macros for a while. Let's say his body adjusts to it and he starts gaining just half a pound again, eating the adjusted calories. He would just rinse and repeat this cycle of upping the calories by 2, 3 to 400 until he gets to that specific goal that he has in mind. But to make bulking a bit easier for you, or what you can eat to make bulking pretty easy, is just a couple of these things. But the biggest thing is you need to stop making bulking harder than it needs to be, and you can just focus on calorie dense foods that allow you to eat more without feeling too stuffed or too full, right? And the best sources for muscle growth is going to be beef, chicken thighs, salmon, whole eggs, Greek yogurt, protein shakes. And I say worst case scenario because a lot of the time I tell my guys to avoid protein shakes as much as they can, and to only use them as kind of a worst case scenario. You never want to use a supplement as a staple in your diet because it's just going to ruin your gut health, your skin, and it's going to be a lot of just filler ingredients in a lot of these protein powders. So I say at the absolute worst for your protein, let's say you need to hit like 30 to 40 grams and you don't really have much room in your stomach, you're already pretty close, but your protein's a little off, then that's when you would bring this in. And then the best carb source is going to be rice, oats, potatoes. It could be sweet potatoes as well, bagels, pasta, fruits, and honey. And like I said before, these carb sources are going to be really, really huge for your energy and your recovery. And some fat sources that you can have is some peanut butter, olive oil, nuts, avocado, whole milk, cheese. And liquid calories, once again, could be whole milk and some smoothies. And also could be, we could put protein shakes in this category because you can really get up to anywhere from like 1,000 to 1,500 calories in liquid form with a shake. But only difference is with these smoothies is you probably just wouldn't have any protein powder in it. It's more like just straight fruit, oats, honey, milk, stuff like that. So the way that you're going to structure your meals Because like I said before, a lot of you guys are only eating when you're hungry. A lot of you guys are, eating a lot, but you're only eating a bit more than you used to, and it's not cutting it, and that's why you're not gaining any size at all. But a lot of you guys have this misconception on the other side of that spectrum, is that you need to eat every 2 hours. But in reality, you just need a solid meal plan structure to hit your daily calorie goal. So let's say you had to hit 3,000 calories, bulking up, gaining like a pound a week. And I'm gonna draw this on here. So let's say your breakfast in the morning is going to be 800 calories. You can do 4 eggs, some toast with peanut butter, banana, whole milk, and that's your very first meal, and it's going to be getting you at 800 calories. Cool. Now let's say a post-workout shake, you did it for like 700 calories with some milk, some oats, some peanut butter, banana, and worst case scenario, some whey, or not. Let's say you include the whey. The whey would be around like at most like 120 to 200 calories. And that's how you're going to get those other 700 in. And then at lunchtime, let's say you're at 800 calories, you need to get 800 calories in. You can just do some beef, rice, avocado, and some veggies. And then for dinner, you can just have some salmon, pasta, and then drizzle some olive oil in it, and even throw a salad in there if you want to. But as you can see, you just got your calories in 1, 2, 3, 4 meals, if you even want to include this as a meal, because it's literally liquid calories. But the biggest thing that I want you guys to take away from this is that you don't have to eat every 2 hours. You don't have to, have yourself on a timer and stress about eating your food. As long as you have it set up in a way that will allow you to get your calories in, then that's the biggest thing that matters. Now, the key takeaways with this is to always include protein, carbs, and fats in every single meal. Like as you can see here, we have some protein sources, some fat sources, some carbs, and then some more, just kind of a good mix of both with the whole milk. And same thing here, milk, oats, peanut butter, banana, beef, rice, avocado. You can see in every single one of these meals, we're getting our carbs, our fats, and our protein in there. And if you struggle to get your calories in with eating like a normal meal, you could just include some liquid calories if you're struggling to eat enough. That's really the easiest way that you can kind of go about it. I know a lot of you guys are busy. A lot of you guys might not have time to cook at a certain time of the day and don't really enjoy meal prepping. Easiest way that you can get over that hump is just to include some liquid calories in your diet and still get that 700 to 1,000 calories in without really having to stuff down some solid food. And plan your meals ahead of time so you don't have to fall behind on your calories. This could look like you making your meals a day before, or you can prep for the week, or even just having a plan like this to where you're like, okay, I need to hit this. I could eat this, 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 and that. So you're not, in the moment thinking, oh, how am I going to hit my calories? How am I going to do this? What am I going to eat to do that? If you have an actual plan, it's going to be a lot harder for you to fall back on actually hitting your calories. So, another little weight gain hack that you guys can include is something called a caloric stack. And this is how you're going to hit your calories without feeling too full. And it's just adding calories to what you already eat. So instead of like adding extra meals, you can just increase the calorie densities of your current meals. So you're going to be eating the same things, but just stacking a bit more calories meal by meal. So an example of this is just adding some olive oil to rice. It could be an extra 120 calories per tablespoon, and it wouldn't even make a difference. The only thing that this is going to change is, I guess, the taste or the texture of the food, but you're not actually eating more food. It's literally an oil. And another thing that you can do is you can mix some honey into some oatmeal. You can have some extra carbs and some extra calories in that as well. And you can put cheese and eggs, and you can do these things to just kind of slowly but surely add a bit more calories per meal, and these are going to stack up more and more. And then another thing that you can do with some of your meals, you can drink whole milk instead of just water. So other than you getting 0 calories from something that you were going to do anyway, you can, just throw some whole milk in there and then stack up an extra 150 to 300. And if you do this with multiple meals, let's just say you do this right here, you add a tablespoon of olive oil, and then you do this is 200, 300, and then you could have 600 extra calories just from doing something that you would have been doing anyway, but just with a more intentional method to stack more calories. Now, the final takeaways that I want you guys to take away from this, I don't want to drag this video out too much, is that gaining muscle is really simple when you eat the right way. A lot of you guys want to overcomplicate it and, you know, do all of these different things and make it seem like it's rocket science, but it's really not. So the biggest thing that you guys need to do is to stop guessing. You need to track your food, hit your calorie goals, and stick to it. Now, when I say hit your calorie goal, I don't mean do that for, you know, a day or a week and then stop. No, you need to consistently hit this goal every single day. Now, if you struggle with eating enough, like I said before, just focus on liquid calories and doing this calorie stacking, because that's going to make it so much easier for you. Now, if you apply every single thing that I told you in this video, it's only been a quick 15-minute video, you're going to gain some size 100% guaranteed, as long as you stick to these things. So if you found this helpful, drop a comment below, say bulk or thanks, whatever it is, just so I know that you guys actually watched this. And let me know the biggest things that you're struggling with in the comments. And if you want a step-by-step customized plan, and you want to work one-on-one with me, then book a call with me using the link in the description, and we're going to get to work and actually get you making some progress 100%. But like I said, it's pretty simple, man. A lot of you guys want to overcomplicate it, but in reality, it's just you guys following these simple steps. It's as simple as this. You can take some screenshots of this right here and just apply it to your life. And as long as you guys are doing this consistently, it's going to be like clockwork for you to actually start packing on size. And this is all that I did to go from being 90 pounds, you know, having no muscle at all. I mean, I guess having a little bit in my bicep, but as you can see, it's been a significant change. Like, my tricep is the size of what my whole arm used to be. But it's not rocket science. It's not, you know, some crazy method that you guys have to use. Just apply this and be consistent with it, and you're going to gain size 100%.
This system in itself allowed Jesse to make more progress